Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, we're now live streaming.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Council meeting for Wednesday, October 28th at 9:30 a.m. Thank you. And as you're aware, and I'll repeat it again, though, under public notice, due to the efforts to contain the spread of COVID-19 and to protect all individual city facilities will not be open to the public to attend council and committee meetings until further notice. So with that, we shall begin our morning with the call to order, national anthem. If you'd all rise, please.
Yeah, everything is.
I have one.
Hey, Paula.
Thank you. We have nothing in the public forum. Council announcements, members of council. Okay, Councilor West, and Councilor, sorry, who else? Councilor West, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just would like to just give a shout out to all those that tuned in to the environment webinar that I had on Sunday. Very good turnout. We had some excellent presentations by a number of different speakers and found out some of the things that we can do individually and as a community to continue to make our environment in Richmond Hill the best that it can be. So I'd like to thank those that tuned in and also the staff folks that helped to put this on. I certainly appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Deputy Mayor Pirelli. I saw another hand.
Yeah, that was me, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. I just wanted to thank everybody in Richmond Hill for the overwhelming response to my latest survey on the environment. Mr. Mayor, I want to report out that so far we've got over 1,300 respondents. And interestingly enough, we've received them in so many ways. As a matter of fact, I had a neighbor come and drop it on my doorstep. And because I have cameras, I was able to see it, but and it was anonymously filled out. And surprisingly, a lot of people, instead of just going to the website, which I always encourage people so that we don't use as much paper as we have to, but a lot of people have taken the time to fill out the survey, put it in an envelope and put a stamp on it, their own stamp, and send it in. And that's always warms the heart to see that people are engaged like that. So I just wanted to encourage everyone to continue to go to the website and fill out the survey, because a residents' input is my most valuable source of information, as everybody knows. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any other comments people wish to make? If not, I have one with regard to the 2020 Richmond Hill blooms. And we did actually have taken pride, all people were taking pride in the front garden for making Richmond Hill a more beautiful place to live. This year, we received over 1,100 nominations, and the judges were very impressed with the quality of gardens all across the 6 wards. And as is obviously through a precaution to help reduce the spread of COVID-19 in our communities, we decided not to host an in-person Bloom annual gala. However, if we can in 2021, please be there on your front lawn and take our photos once again. So thank you all for being a part of that in a very different year, that's for sure. Thank you. Okay, there's none others there. Introduction of emergency time-sensitive matters. We have 2 here. One from, yes, Councilor Liu.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I have a time-sensitive matter. Is regarding parking restriction on Bridgewater Drive. I sent out some background information and my motion to all members of council and clerk office yesterday. So I would like to put it on the agenda for discussion. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And also Deputy Mayor DiPaolo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Circulated to the clerk a motion that requires to be considered for emergency or time sensitive. It's definitely time sensitive. The region will be considering this on November 5th at its committee meeting. So this is our last council meeting before that, and we need to give direction to the region regarding Witchert-Stouffville resolution.
Okay, we'll bring those forward towards, we're at the end of the, sorry.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, can we just have, I'm assuming then it's Councilor Liu, seconded by Deputy Mayor DiPaolo, moving to add those 2 matters as a time-sensitive matter, in which case then we just need the majority vote for that to go forward.
Okay. That will be it. And all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. All will be dealt with that time in the agenda. All right, our next item here is adoption of the agenda. I have a mover and a seconder to adopt the agenda for Councilor Pirelli and Councilor Barros. Thank you all very much. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Is disclosure of pecuniary interest in the general nature thereof for many members of council. Seeing none, Mr. Clerk. Okay, we now have the adoption of previous council minutes. We have 6, 7.1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are all previous council minutes. I would ask for someone to give we'll move it all 6. Seconder for that, please. Thank you, Councilor West. Seconder, please. Councilor Chan. Any comments? If none, all those in favor? Opposed? That carries. Thank you. All right, identification items required to separate for discussion. We do have a number of ones that are there because of their delegations and various things. If there are any others that members of council would wish to separate for discussion. Councilor Chan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to pull item number 13.7 on spas and wellness centers.
Okay. Any others at this time? Okay, I see none, no others. Just trying to give you a moment. Okay, so that is 13.7. Adoption of the remainder of the agenda items that are not been separated or are not dealing with through delegations, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So can I have a mover and a seconder for the adoption of the remainder of those agenda items? Councilor Muntz, thank you. And seconder, please. Thank you. Councilor Liu. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you all very much. All right, we are now moving to the presentations. And I'm going to ask if I may, in the order that they are in the agenda, it has the family of William F. Bell as to go first. But in the second one, it includes Majid Johari, our MP for Richmond Hill. And he is actually in Ottawa, and he is sitting back waiting to go in, and actually he's waving to us right here now. So if that's okay, we will begin the statement at that point in time. Councillor Majori, I would like to welcome you, along with Patricia Carney and James Patava and the World Council on City Data to Council to make a presentation. Sir. Go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, I guess you meant me, or is Patricia and James going first?
Okay, my notes show that they were here, so they can go first. That's fine.
MP Johari, would you prefer that? That's fine.
Oh,
with me.
absolutely. That helps me,
Get ready. Okay. Thank you.
I am ready, but it just with the background there, I think it helps a lot. So
Okay,
right.
welcome and go ahead.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So it's a pleasure to be here. Good morning, Mayor Barrow and council members. Thank you for the kind introduction, and it's truly a pleasure to be here with you today to present the WCCD ISO 37120 certification to you and the council. So I'm Patricia McCarney, the President and CEO of the World Council on City Data, and I'd like to also introduce my colleague James Patava to you for this morning's presentation. And we will be calling on MP Johari in just a few minutes. So first of all, I do wish we could be there in person with you all, but I trust better times lie ahead to soon again visit the city of Richmond Hill. If we could just go to the first slide. Thank you. So to begin, I want to first congratulate you, Mayor Barrow, and the City of Richmond Hill on this WCCD ISO 37120 Platinum certification. It's a true demonstration of your city's dedication to building high caliber data that will inform planning and management across the city and drive a more sustainable prosperity into the future. So I would like to pass it to the chair right now to MP Johari to offer a few remarks on behalf of Minister McKenna, who is unable to be with us today, but is well represented by MP Johari. If you would like to open with a few remarks, and then we'll pass it to James Patava, and we will get on with the ceremony. Thank you. MP Johari.
Yes, good morning, everyone. It's a great honor and pleasure to be here. As usual, I like to start by acknowledging the Indigenous land that we are holding this Zoom call on, as well as the treaties that we are bound with. Also acknowledging, as I understand, we are live, all the constituents in the city of Richmond Hill who are watching, and I thank them for the resilience and the great support that they've shown during these difficult times. Also want to acknowledge all the members of the council, especially Mayor Dave Barrow and our members of the city who have worked long hours and made sure that our city still runs during these difficult times. Naturally, I'd like to also acknowledge the President and Vice President of Data for Cities. You just heard from Patricia McCarney, and we'll be hearing from James Patava shortly. As a member of Parliament for Richmond Hill, and actually resident of Richmond Hill for nearly 22 years, I'm so proud that our city has achieved the ISO standard for municipal data. We are one of the 15 cities, to the best of my knowledge, that we've been awarded this, and I think among all the cities in Canada, being one of the 15, it's an amazing accomplishment, and that's testimony to the great work that the council, as well as the mayor and the support staff in the city, are doing. The Government of Canada has committed to data and evidence-based planning to ensure that all municipalities are equipped with the tools they need to build better and stronger community. So today here on behalf of the Minister of Infrastructure and Communities, Catherine McKenna, I'm honored to read the following statement. As you are aware, through an investment of $3 million from the Government of Canada, $3 million from the Government of Canada, the Data for Canadian City Pilot Project strives to build data capacity for Canadian municipalities to better plan and implement their investment in public infrastructure. This funding has allowed the World Council on City Data to work with 15 municipalities across Canada to help them become certified under ISO 37120, the first international standards for city data. All communities, large and small, need good data in order to meet this goal. The certification will help support Richmond Hill in planning projects while using evidence-based decision-making that is grounded in global data standards. Across the country, the Government of Canada is working closely with municipalities, partners, and stakeholders to get projects built quickly, projects that make a positive difference in the life of Canadians. We are making investment to grow the economy and create good jobs, improve people's quality of life, and protect the environment. Infrastructure is important because it's about real things to real people. It allows people to live healthier lives. It helps grow businesses. It keeps communities connected. Over $180 billion investing in Canada Plan is delivering on our promise to build sustainable, resilient communities. This plan invests in thousands of projects, create jobs across the country, and build stronger communities. In closing, I'd like to thank these investments. Thanks to these investments, Canada will remain among the best places in the world to work and raise a family. Thank you very much, the Honorable Catherine McKenna. Thank you.
Thank you.
And congratulations.
May I now pass it to James Batava to continue the presentation.
Thank you, Patricia, and members of council. It's such a pleasure to be here, albeit virtually today. We're so pleased to be in your presence to award you with the certification, and of course, to be supported by colleagues from Ottawa who've made this truly a possibility to help us help you become more data-driven, sustainable, resilient, and prosperous. If we could advance to the next slide, please. To give you a very short background about what this whole process has been about, the WCCD is implementing and has created the first international standard for city data. We're rolling it out in 100 cities across 35 countries, and Richmond Hill is now joining this data-driven group of cities that includes peers across the GTA, but also further afield in London, in the United Kingdom, in Dubai, throughout Europe, throughout South America, Africa, Asia, and other places. So it's truly a pleasure to be able to present you with this certification. Next slide, please. The standard itself is built on 104 indicators across 19 city services and quality of life themes. All of these indicators are fully numeric. So all of a sudden, there's now an opportunity to have apples to apples data with these 100 peer cities globally to allow you to understand where you're excelling, or perhaps in areas where you may want to look to peers to improve city services or service delivery. Next slide, please. With regards to the certification level, as was mentioned, Richmond Hill has achieved the highest level of certification under the WCCD process, which is the Platinum Standard. That means that your city has reported over 90 of the 104 indicators within the standard. But specifically, what this certification recognizes is the quality and the caliber of your data. It goes to show that it's gone through a rigorous third-party independent verification supported by the World Council on City Data to allow you to have this data in a way that A, enables comparison, but B, sits outside the data typically reported by your city and allows both city leaders and citizens to engage with this information. Next slide, please. Just very quickly, beyond this basic standard ISO 37120 that your city is now certified under, we are also rolling out 2 new standards that cities across the world are now starting to embrace, having completed this first certification. Both are tackling the very critical agenda of smart cities, of course, which is a very rising and important issue. But even more to the point with these interesting times that we're all facing right now, indicators for resilient cities, helping cities to prepare for, respond to, and recover from shocks and stresses. Obviously, a really important set of data for cities to embrace. Next slide, please. Just very quickly on the project, and if we could advance to the next slide. As the Honorable Catherine McKenna is one of the strongest supporters of this initiative, and has in fact championed it throughout. I won't belabor the point, other than just to say this partnership with cities across the country, the WCCD, and the federal government is really driving change in how cities look at data, use data, and help put it to use to better the lives of citizens across the country. Next slide, please. The project itself that you're now involved in is a 3-year project. Year 1 was very much about gathering the data in a standardized manner and setting baselines. As we move into year 2 and year 3, it's very much about taking this data and putting it to use to support your priority as counselors. And moreover, as we move into year 3 and beyond, understanding the impact of the policies that you've implemented, but also starting to look at trends and how change is being driven across your city. Next slide, please. To summarize my point, and just to give you a sense of some of the power of this data, it's very much helping to create data-driven municipalities across the world and closer to home across Canada. It's informing and directing federal spending across the country. It's showcasing the impact of this spending. Of course, it's also driving job creation and economic development, because now you are truly able to showcase your city in a way, in comparison to peers, that really highlights that Richmond Hill is a place to live, work, and play, and really a city on the cutting edge. Of course, it's also helping cities to track progress on the climate agenda, and finally, to embrace the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals at a local level. I'll now turn it back over to Patricia, who's going to show you some insights around how wonderfully Richmond Hill is performing within the context of our network here in Canada and globally. So thank you once again.
Thank you, James, and thank you, MP Jahari. It's really wonderful presentation to be able to offer this to you this morning, Mayor Barrow. I know with the last 2 minutes, I would like to just move very quickly through the last few slides. The next slide, please. So we've been putting together this data-driven insights report for Richmond Hill, because when we looked at your data in comparative perspective, not just in Canada, but globally, we saw so many incredible achievements. So I just want to highlight a few. Next slide, please. If we look at bicycle paths and lanes per 100,000 population, I'm a planner, and just to see Richmond Hill outperforming so many cities across the world, including some of the Dutch cities, if you look at Rotterdam and Amsterdam there to the left, Richmond Hill is already excelling well beyond most cities in the world with the number of bicycle paths and lanes per 100,000, which develops sustainable travel, but also a really important pattern of mobility in the city. The next slide, please. Continuing on this idea of mobility and low impact living in the city, we're also really surprised and excited to share this with you, because look at the greenhouse gases measured in tons per capita in a Canadian perspective on the left, which is remarkably low. And also when you look at that number then globally on the right-hand side of the screen, you're also really performing on a global scale that is unparalleled. So congratulations on that. The next slide, please. And also attracting a diverse population has become so much part of our work globally in cities around the world. And there again, Richmond Hill is a really high number that shows a very welcoming community in your city, which is fantastic to see as a Canadian. Next slide, please. This is the last one I wanted to show you. This is all the Canadian cities that are in our network at the moment. But when we look at all the Canadian cities with higher ed degrees, this is a really important number. This shows the talent and the ability to attract economic development in Richmond Hill. There's Richmond Hill with one of the highest numbers in the world. Higher than almost all the other Canadian cities, and certainly higher than all of the other cities. And this includes cities like Los Angeles and San Diego and Silicon Valley cities. This is a really incredible number for Richmond Hill to celebrate, and we're very excited to share this with you today. So now moving to the most important part of the ceremony with the next slide. I want to say congratulations again to you, and it's a pleasure to award you, Mayor Barrow and City Council, with Richmond Hills WCCD ISO 37120 Platinum certification. This is the highest level of certification possible, and it shows an incredible commitment to data. So congratulations to you, Mayor Barrow, but also to the dedicated staff led by the city manager, Mary Ann Dempster, and her incredible team that we've been working with, Lise Conde and Ashley Dixon. The city of Richmond Hill reported 91 out of the 104 indicators, a truly exceptional achievement. Richmond Hill has showcased a commitment to a data-driven future for your citizens and an innovative leadership in local governance. So on behalf of the WCCD, I would like to congratulate the dedication of Mayor Dave Barrow, the council, and the city staff. And you have this certification right there, Mayor Barrow. I'm so pleased it arrived. And the council and city staff, this is a celebration of open, standardized, and comparable data, but moreover, a standardized set of data that really does increase the quality of life for your citizens while driving evidence-based decision-making and data-driven solutions. Richmond Hill stands out in Canada and stands out as a global leader in our global network in creating a sustainable, a resilient, inclusive, and a prosperous future for all citizens. Congratulations once again on this ISO Platinum certification, and I wish you all a very good morning. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we are very proud I'm proud to hold this, as I say, and from the staff that you discussed that we're working through this whole program to.
They've been incredible.
Yes, thank you. A certification that demonstrates our commitment to measuring our progress as a city and using the data to improve services and quality of life in our Richmond Hill. So thank you very much. And I just also want to say thank you, Patricia, James, and Majori for being here with us this morning. Thank you all very, very much.
Thank you. Look forward to
Thank
the
you so
future work
much.
together.
I'll put it down.
Bye now.
Bye.
Bye now.
Thank you again.
All right, now we now have our William F. Bell Young Entrepreneur Award today, and Joshua Gao. I'm just going to bring forward, and we have the Bell family here with us. Julie, anyway, thank you.
Hi, no, they're all here. Good morning, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, there they are. Sorry, I didn't
We're all here.
hand it that way. I just want to
Enjoy
say,
the presentation.
Yeah, congratulations.
incredible. Today, we're here to present the William F. Bell Young Entrepreneur Award. And as many of you probably know, Mayor Bell served Richmond Hill for 25 years, including 6 terms as the mayor of our town. Each year with this award, we honor his legacy. We're also joined today with Mayor Bell's wife, Jackie, daughter Julie, and brother John, who are here with us.
Hi.
And there they are, all in one.
There we are.
There we are. But the Entrepreneur Award was introduced in 2006 to recognize successful young entrepreneurs in the Ontario Summer Camp Program. Since summer camp began in 2004, more than 150 young entrepreneurs have successfully launched a summer business with the help from Richmond Hill Small Business Enterprise Center. I'd now like to introduce Julie, which I've already done, but to tell us more about this year's recipient. Julie.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Barrow, and thanks for having us. We're really happy to be here. I'm happy to present this award with you. This year's winner is a dedicated and talented student who has worked very hard. His company, Orange Juice, the brand, is an online retail store that provides youth a chance to express themselves through fashion. Through dedication and hard work, Orange Juice, the brand, earned more than $40,000 in revenue this summer and received $24,000 in private funding from Shopify Capital and Clearbank. I'm pleased to announce the 2020 William F. Bell Young Entrepreneur Award owner of Orange Juice, the brand, Joshua Gao.
Yes. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Hello, thank you guys so much. It's really an honor to be here. I know the name might be kind of funky. I know Julie, your Orange Juice, the brand, kind of sounds awkward off the roll of the tongue. I really appreciate it. I guess I started the business 3 years ago, kind of part-time, but this was the first summer that I took it more seriously. And thankfully, with the mentorship of Alexandru, who's in the corner there as well, we were able to really focus on growing the business. And this was the first time I got to experience what it feels like to actually build a company, aside from just doing it as kind of a side hustle. So yeah, thank you so much. This came in the mail the other day.
Congratulations.
You got to hold it up longer than that.
I gotta hold it there.
Do we want to continue?
One more time.
Yep. There we go.
Great.
Well done. So on behalf of the Bell family who have joined us, I'd like to congratulate Joshua on behalf of the city on all the success that you have achieved. And congratulations. And it's wonderful to have you here with us this morning. Thank you all very much for taking.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Away.
Congratulations again, and thank you, Alexandru.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you, Bell family. Appreciate that.
Bye-bye. Good to see everyone.
Yes, when we do. Okay, we are now to delegations. And now we have delegation as Dean Grossi, Road Watch Committee member, regarding the member motion submitted. And refer to item 14.2. So, Mr. Grossi?
Yes, hello, Mayor, Deputy Mayors and Council. Thank you so much for hosting me today. Can you all hear me?
Yeah, we're fine.
Great. So I do have a presentation for you all today. I'm familiar that many of you have been involved with Road Watch as a committee member in the past. And I'm aware that some of you are familiar with this presentation, perhaps. I did want to take an opportunity to go through it. Our committee has been working very diligently to come up with improvements to the committee. And the resultant presentation is something that we've worked very hard on. And we do have some requests from council. We'll get to that near the end of the presentation. So we're going to be talking about the Road Watch application strategy and funding. Next slide, please. So we're going to review some context. We're going to quickly talk about the history, the operation, and the current state of Road Watch, some of the pain points that are experienced by various stakeholders. We're going to talk about what the Road Watch program mission is. Hey, is there even a need for Road Watch and a Road Watch app? You know, a lot of people ask that question. So we just
careful.
And what will we be building? You know, some of you may have you know, some questions around that. So hopefully we'll have an opportunity to show you a part of a concept demo that should illustrate what this product may look like. Where of course everybody's interested in financials. We want to make sure that we're really prudent with our with how we spend our money. And then we, of course, after we spend money, we want to know what do we get for our investment. And from my perspective and our perspective on the committee, what we need from council. Then we'll have a QA period. Next slide, please. So the history of Road Watch, some of you may or may not know this. In 1993, after students were let out of their schooling, there happened to be a party in Caledon, and the party was well supervised and chaperoned. Unfortunately, there happened to be a horrific accident between two cars. Each one contained 4 students. And I believe 7 or 8 students had passed away. It was very horrific. It was termed the Mother's Day incident. And as a result, the Caledon Mayor, Carol Staglin, started a Stop Fatality Everywhere initiative. By 1995, that had emerged to Road Watch Canada Incorporated. They took it out of the city and they had structured it as a private non-for-profit entity. And this pretty much operated back then, as all of you are familiar with Road Watch. You know, its mandate was to educate drivers, promote road safety, safe driving habits. They created educational materials, marketing signs, and launched their website. By 2007, Roadwatch had experienced the height of their adoption, and they had licensed the concept to over 40 communities in Ontario. Next slide, please. So we want to talk about, Roadwatch's operation in the current state. Now, it's important that I'm reviewing this for you all so that you understand what Roadwatch actually is. So there is this Roadwatch Canada Incorporation that had existed and recently has gone defunct. I think it was approximately 2 years ago. They were the governing body per se of Roadwatch, and they put together, most of the source materials and licensed out the concept to different municipalities so they can operate their own Roadwatch committees. Well, then we have a Roadwatch committee that you're all familiar with that was sanctioned by council, and these are resident-run committees. These committees exist to promote the Roadwatch ideas within a specific community. But then lastly, there's also a regional police incident submission or report submission, which they term Roadwatch as well. And that actually operates independently of a Roadwatch citizen committees, which means some municipalities have Roadwatch citizen-run committee, resident-run committees. Other regions have support from their regional police department, but they don't have any committees. So they really exist independently from one another. Richmond Hill happens to have both. We have a resident-run committee and we have the support of the York Regional Police. Next slide, please. So we want to talk about some of the stakeholder pain points. Various people are associated with Roadwatch or are impacted by Roadwatch. We have Roadwatch resident committees. We have the residents themselves. We have municipal councils. We have regional police, and we have the MTO. Now, these pain points are things that we're going to be attempting to solve with this motion and this presentation. The resident committees are having trouble recruiting and maintaining volunteers. They have difficulty with messaging and the endurance of that messaging outside of promotional events because there's no online support or presence. So Roadwatch has to some degree been on the decline when we look at resident-run Roadwatch committees because it's a very tedious task. Everything is done manually. These committees get together and they go to city-sponsored events or municipal-sponsored events. They engage with people one-on-one. All the conversations are face-to-face, and we may give out some pamphlets. This is very difficult. It's very time-consuming for many of the members. So it's not conducive to maintaining a strong committee and ensuring the propagation of Roadwatch committees. Residents have trouble because there's lack of awareness of Roadwatch as a campaign. Some people are aware of it, of course. There's no central repository for them to obtain information.
We need to wrap it up, Dean, if you can.
Oh, okay, I was explained that I would be offered the opportunity to display this presentation from the clerk's office.
Yes, where are you? Got your 10 minutes.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, we did advise that there was a 5-minute time limit for all delegations.
Oh, okay. Yes, that's how we deal with when you're coming in.
Okay, fair enough. I was under the understanding based off of a phone call yesterday that I'd be given the opportunity to present. So I could wrap it up quickly if that's required.
Yes, please. Thank you. And we'll be
okay. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Is there a need for a Roadwatch app? So since the decline of Roadwatch, there's been a flattening in the fatalities per million kilometers. In fact, it's been on the increase. I'm not suggesting that Roadwatch, that there's a causal relationship with Roadwatch, but there's a weak correlation for sure. Next slide, please. This slide will indicate that people are using mobile devices more and more, and it is the primary way that people are collecting their data and interacting with services on the internet. Next slide, please. So what are we going to build? This is a very important slide. I'll try and get through it in about 30 seconds. We want to be very careful with what we're attempting to do here. The first release will be a minimally viable product. We want to get something up on the web that's small, that's containable, that's cost effective, that is de-risked. After that, we've proven this concept by going live with a small investment from the city. We will engage the councilors and the various stakeholders, including the residents, to ensure that we get their feedback, make relevant changes to the application, and then attempt to propagate it. And hopefully our plan is in phase 2 to expand this initiative from Richmond Hill to all of the municipalities in York Region. And then after we've proven success there, expand it to other regions within Ontario. Next slide, please. If any of you would like to see the demo, you can go to deangossi.com. Next slide, please. The financials. So we've submitted a grant to the MTO for $15,000. It's awaiting decision. It should come out end of November, early December, and we're requesting $25,000 from the city. There is a summary of the financials here. $4,700 are reoccurring costs, and then we have about $35K in project expenses. Next slide, please. What do we get from?
Okay, Dean, I think there's enough people here who are going to ask you a couple of questions, as there is.
Of course.
And from our point of view here, we've had this program in, said it's just waned away. So I'm sure there's members of council that would like to speak to you.
Yep.
And make sure that we can get together and help you make this thing happen. So I think we can do that in a way away from this specific delegation today. That's all I'm suggesting.
Excellent. Thank you, Mayor. Any questions? I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, go ahead. I don't know who we got here. Councilor Chan was on the first we had in Richmond Hill. I know that. Nope, nobody seems to be at this time. Am I not on? Can you hear me? Anybody hear me?
You are on mute.
Mr. Mayor, you are being heard through my microphone.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay,
Mr. Mayor, I had my hand up earlier.
Yes, you're good.
okay, go ahead. Councilor Barrows.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess one of my questions through you, Mr. Mayor, to Mr. Gossi. So from a financial perspective, I mean, I think this is a great initiative. I really like it. It's high time that we actually get something like this going. And I think it could serve as a springboard for other municipalities. Councillor Chan can attest to this. Richmond Hill has been a leader when it comes to the Road Watch Committee. In the past, we've won numerous awards from the province based on our activity in Road Watch. My specific question is there some way, if this goes to other municipalities, and I'm assuming there would be a fee to those municipalities?
Thank you for the question, Councillor Barrows. Initially, the cost would be comprised of some funds from the City of Richmond Hill and the MTO, and the MTO in the form of grant. In phase 2, the plan that we're planning, once we've proven success, is to have all the municipalities within the region join on board. It is the simplest, smallest, most economical, highest impact step that we can take. And at that point, depending on the feature set that is selected after we've engaged all of those stakeholders and we determine what exactly we're going to build and launch into York Region, we will then determine what the costs are and how they will be broken down and who will who would bear those expenses. And then longer term, we're hoping in a phase 3 or in a phase 4 that if York Region and other municipalities within prove it to be successful, perhaps we'd be able to bring on other regions as well. So at those times, those funding discussions will have to take place. But our hope is, if we're very strategic in how we roll this out, we want it to be self-funded. This is an important point. We would be able to bring on sponsors. We would be able to bring on other forms of funding such that we can provide it free to the municipalities.
And thank you for that. I guess what I'm looking at is, as we move forward beyond Richmond Hill, I'd like to see something in the details of the funding, that there's an opportunity for Richmond Hill to eventually recoup their seed money. we're the leader here. We're putting in seed money with the MTO. And at such point in time that we start to receive funds from other municipalities, I'd like to be able to see like I said, our seed money get repaid to some percentage. That's something that can be negotiated out in the fine tuning. But I think that's something that I'd like to see. There's other municipalities that do similar things. There's one of the large municipalities in the GTA that has a tax billing software, and we actually subscribe to that service, and that municipality gets money from us, and that helps them offset the cost of them building it and maintaining it. So I don't see it as anything different than that. So thank you so much for the presentation. I really appreciated it. And I think you're doing some good work there. And I should commend all the members of Road Watch for their continued effort in public safety. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Thank you, Councillor.
Yeah. Would you move a motion to receive?
Sorry, yeah, a motion to receive. And then I guess will we be dealing with the member motion at this point, or when we deal with all the member motions later?
All of them later.
At a later date. Okay, I'm happy to receive the presentation with thanks.
Okay, thank you. Okay, our next delegation is Lou Vicario.
Sorry, Councillor Chan wants to speak.
Oh, I'm sorry, Councillor Chan, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I would happy to second the motion. I was about to actually say that, Mr. Gossi, thank you so much for your really innovative ideas and also the efforts along with other members of the Road Watch Committee to put into this. Mr. Gossi mentioned, I believe, including to myself, he has shown the demonstration to members of council, and that's why we are here today. And I did encourage Mr. Gossi then, to come to this is the soonest council meeting we had. And I think this is certainly a wonderful opportunity to capitalize on upon further perhaps support and review by staff. This is really an approach, as Mr. Gossi had mentioned, taking advantage or leverage on the, I guess, the increasing trend that people relying on the mobile apps. And I guess more than ever now with the COVID, more people turn to it. So I want to take this opportunity again. Thank you, Mr. Gossi and the members of the Road Watch Committee. This is a kind of innovative approach. And I just want to add, the mayor would remember back in 2002, and I'm proud to be a founding member of the committee of Richmond Hill. And even today, I believe Richmond Hill Road Watch Committee, as mentioned in Mr. Grossi's speech, delegation is one of the few municipalities actually have an active ongoing committee. So thank you. I'm in support of that, of the motion to receive with sincere thanks.
All right, no, thank you. Okay, all those in favor? Let's deal with this one. Thank you all very much. Thank you. And now we'll go to Mr. Vicario.
Mr. Vicario is not here. Mr. Mayor, it seems that Mr. Vicario is not here. Just to confirm, have we received any indication? It's in the meeting. He is not, so we might just consider Mr. Mayor, in case he was having trouble logging in, going to the one immediately after that. Mr. Bruto and Mr. Fiorini from Bruto Consulting.
Okay, that's fine. Let's move forward then. We'll give him this opportunity. Mr. Bruto.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good morning to everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Actually, don't have much to say. Our item 13.9, we were anticipating that there might have been some delegations, and so that's why we sought a more preemptive request for delegate status. So at this point, I have no further comments and would welcome approval of item 13.9.
Okay. 13.9. Delegation is here, sir. Okay, somebody wish to move that?
So,
Councilor
Mr.
Barros?
am I just moving the delegation or? Yeah, I'm moving the delegation and then we're bringing the item forward?
Yes.
Very
Well, that's
good.
what I'm saying. He said that he's completed his comments. And so now we have, as I understand it, we have 13:09 before us here.
Okay, well, I've got some questions.
Okay. Go ahead.
So I've received a petition and members of council can see the petition that's attached to the agenda. And the residents on Bethany Road have requested that the parking entrance be removed on Bethany Road. So I guess my question is through you to the planning department for clarification. The entrance from Bethany Road, is that what's in front of us right now, or was that approved previously?
That was approved on the site plan application.
Sorry, Francesco, that was for Mr. Kwan.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the issue before you is the rezoning application and the approval to provide for the additional uses requested by the applicant. It does not fundamentally change the site design, which was previously approved by my staff prior to the request for the additional uses.
Okay, and for clarification for the residents that are watching, I suspect all 50 of them are online right now. Was that the site plan that was back in 2002? Or when was that particular site plan approved?
The site plan was just approved recently through you, Mr. Mayor. The block for commercial uses, however, was set aside as part of the subdivision approval many years ago.
Okay, and if I understand, on the Bethany Drive driveway, this was something that was a requirement of the region. They only provided a right in, right out on the Bathurst section. Is that correct?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, my understanding of the history here is that the two access points were always provided for. However, through the processing of the site plan, the region commented and they asked that restricted access be provided for on Bathurst Street. So, but the two access points were always part of the original design.
Okay, is there an opportunity to put posts with a chain across the Bethany Drive entrance? You can imagine my residents are quite concerned. Our residents are quite concerned that people are going to be coming off Bathurst, going through this plaza and shooting through their little street. They've got children in the area. There's elderly people. It's a quiet area.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I believe the both access points are required for public safety via the fire department comments, if memory serves correctly.
What do you mean by fire access? So we see some subdivisions that have the chain across the roadway going right onto Bayview, right onto Bathurst, right onto a regional road. And that's, as I understand, for fire access. So that's the question. Why can't we put the bollards with the chain across it so that if the fire department needs it, they're able to?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that was not my understanding of the intention of the fire department and their comments. They wanted to have full access to the site via both driveways because it provides for a more appropriate circulation of emergency vehicles and access to the site.
So when I take a look at the gas station to the north, it has two driveways, one of them off of King Road, one of them off of Bathurst. They're both right in, right out. So there's all kinds of maneuvers that have to be made to get in there. I'm just raising the flag that my residents are bringing to me. Public safety, of course, is paramount. So although this application today is only for the specific uses, I think through Mr. Bruto, we would agree that we don't want to be imposing upon the local residents something that would be problematic. So after this process, I'm going to be working with the residents to make sure, and with city staff, that traffic flows, parking problems don't become a problem. So Mr. Mayor, at this point, I'll move the motion to accept the additional uses, the staff recommendation, but I will say again, I'm concerned about the entrance, and the residents, want to be sure that we're taking that seriously.
Okay. Commissioner Chan?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, if it's the will of council, staff will certainly have a second look at the traffic circulation and all the previous approvals for the site plan and discuss it further with the applicant. And if we can make adjustments, we'll certainly undertake to do so.
I certainly appreciate that. Gives me a bit of comfort, Commissioner Kwan. Thank you so much.
Okay. So you're moving the agenda item here. Is there a seconder for Councilor Barros? Do we have one? Yes, thank you. Councilor Munch, all those in favor? Hold, that carries. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. All right, our next item is delegation is Nancy Spinks, 55 Royal Chapin Crescent. Official planning and zone bylaw amendment applications. Ms. Spike, there you are. Spinks, sorry. Go ahead. You're not, you gotta do the.
Mute. Hi, can you hear me now? Good morning. I'm Nancy Spinks. And the last time I spoke before council was on May 14th, 2019. At that time, the staff report SRPRS 19046 was of the opinion that the subject application did not represent good planning and therefore staff could not support them. That day, council decided to kick it up to ALPAT for review, and ALPAT is holding a hearing next week. Over the last 18 months, there have been submissions and resubmissions with little movement on the part of the developer. As late as September 4th, 2020 of this year, the developer submitted changes to the site plan and statistics to the ALPAT tribunal. It still consisted of 2 5-story stacked townhomes and a 10-story apartment building. They also mentioned reduced parking provisions, but provided no details. At that late date, it appeared that the developer had made no substantive changes and were still not prepared to do so. After having read the latest staff report, SRPI 020016, however, there seems to be some positive movement on the part of the developer. We feel, however, there are still some tweaks to be made. We are pleased to see there is no road access off Royal Chapin Crescent into the new complex, but we remain concerned that they have proposed a pedestrian walk. This can only mean visitors to the complex will park on our street. Also for parking, we see insufficient above ground parking for new residents and their visitors. And again, that means overflow parking will end up on Royal Chapin Crescent. Another major concern was the height of the 5-story stacked townhomes backing onto Marigold Court and Royal Chapin Crescent. They propose reducing these to 3 stories, which is better. Per section 37, the staff report suggests the construction of a recreational trail along the east side of the Valley Land. Sounds lovely, but this presents other issues. The residents who back onto the proposed trail have concerns about the possible elimination of trees along our back fences. Another concern with this pathway is the potential for intruders to be tempted to jump our fences and break into our homes. And there is the threat of potential vandalism. A couple of years ago, graffiti artists painted huge tags on our back fences. which the city of Richmond Hill had to paint over. Also per section 37, page 10, it is nice that Melinda Clark Parquet will be repaired and replaced in 2026. That is a bit like dangling a carrot, however. If this is approved, we residents would like some input. A couple of suggestions are automated lighting. This might help deter a certain element that uses the parquet after dark. Also, perhaps installing security cameras, which might also serve as a deterrent. Page 12 of the staff report, per the Toronto and Region Conservation Authority, says mapping shows that the overtopping of Gamble Road may result in a flood spill towards Yonge Street. Those of us backing onto Yonge Street can attest that whenever there is flooding, which happens often in the spring, the water sometimes comes as far as our back fences. The floodplain is still a concern, and we think that it will also be a concern for new residents with underground parking. While there have been quite a few concessions made by the developer, there still appears potential for overdevelopment of this parcel of land and some potential environmental issues. Also, we would like to point out that the developer owner has not maintained the property at 49 Gamble well and already appears to be treating this property as a building site. July 2nd of this year, the owner was asked to clear the property of tons of rubble sitting in the driveway, as well as numerous barrels, garbage, equipment, and a huge backhoe. They were given a series of deadlines, but were found in non-compliance on October 1st. The matter has been forwarded to TRCA. Today, the property looks like a garbage dump, frankly. I've attached some photos that you can find on with my submission. We hope the developer will be a little more considerate when they actually do build something. So to recap, the following are our remaining concerns. 1, the pedestrian walkway. 2, parking in the new development, both above and below ground, as well as the number of guest spots assigned and the handicapped parking. 3, per section 37, potential removal of trees along the proposed pathway along the east side of the Valleyland and privacy issues, as well as concerns with possible break-ins and potential graffiti tagging. 4, per section 37, development of Melinda Clark Parquet, per lighting and possible security cameras. 5, population density. 6, potential flooding. And 7, how the developer will adhere to the proposal once approved and treat the construction site. We always knew something would eventually be built here, and we accepted that. What we didn't choose to accept was the size, scope, and density of the proposed development. It now seems, while it is not perfect, that the developer has met us part of the way. We appreciate that. Thank you for considering our comments. If you have any questions, please feel free.
Okay, we will. Thank you. We have other members. There's okay, there's three other people on this item. Councilor West, did you wait till they all speak? Okay, thank you. Gerard Boreen.
Good morning. I apologize. My screen's gone a little different, so I don't know if you see me or not. Hello?
We can hear you, sir.
Thank you very much. Good morning to Mr. Mayor and members of council. I simply just wanted to say that we've worked very, very diligently with staff, city staff and city lawyers, and we believe that we have now put something forward that is good for the community. We support the recommendation put before you by your staff. And I have the next deputy in is Mr. Michael Manette, who's our land use planner on this matter. And if you have any direct questions with respect to this matter, he's here to answer those questions. I simply want to indicate that there has been a lot of work put forward by a lot of people, including staff and our consultants and the TRCA, and that we believe we have a viable project in front of you today, including the Section 37s. Those are my comments, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Boreen. Mr. Manette. Go ahead. Mr. Manette.
I don't see myself on the, okay, let me just start that. Okay, here we go. Good morning, Mr. Mayor, members of council. As you heard, my name is Michael Manette. I'm the agent and planner for the applicant. We've been working very hard over the last couple of years, and especially most recently with staff, to respond to the concerns and the issues that have been raised by Conservation Authority, by the city, and by the residents. We feel we have now come up with an excellent project that will provide for a variety of new residential development at this very important location, which is at the end of the BRT line. We're immediately adjacent to the BRT station at Gamble 19th. We're providing a combination of townhouse housing and apartment housing. We have dedicated a large percentage of the site to be conveyed to the municipality to enhance the valley system. And through our Section 37, we're also providing additional fees to update the local parquet. And we feel that this development will be a wonderful development for this area. It's been a long time coming. We've been at this for about 7 years. And I just want to finish by saying we support the staff recommendation, and we urge council to approve this application so that we can settle this matter next week at the LPAT hearing, and we can move forward with getting a development on the property. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. That's the last here. Councillor West, in your ward.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I agree with Mr. Minette. This has been going on for 7 years. I know that because I've been there for all 7 of them. I actually am quite pleased what we're seeing in front of us at this point in time. And I wish we could have got to this place earlier, but we're here now, and I think that's great. I think that this plan in its proposed form is probably one that is right-sized for this particular piece of property. I think that the building on Yonge and Gamble is probably as big as it can be, respecting all of the constraints that that area or that particular piece of property has, including the floodway, which is, I guess, is it German Mills Creek or whatever. Anyway, so I'm pleased that that's happening. And I think that, and I thank the applicant for getting to the point where, where we can see something that I think will be good for the community. I also appreciate the work that the area residents and Ms. Spinks have put into this, this right from the beginning, right from 7 years ago. And I am pleased that while there are still some kind of issues that need to be dealt with, and I am confident that we can deal with those in a way once the LPAT renders their decision, hopefully positively, that we will be able to address some of those, if not all of those points that Nancy Spinks brought up in her presentation. So I appreciate her doing that work and helping the community through this process. And it really has been helpful to me as the local councillor. So I would actually like to just very briefly take this opportunity to ask the applicant. There has been a number of issues with the care and maintenance of that property while it's being while we're waiting for it to be developed. And I really would appreciate it if you could reiterate the message back to the folks that are owning that property that we really would like it to be cleaned up. It's not fair that it is in the state that it is in right now for the area residents. And I would hope that we would be able to correct that. I suspect that it won't be that difficult to correct. It just needs to be done. Anyway, I don't have a lot more to add. I would be happy, Mr. Mayor, to move the recommendation, but there is an amended recommendation that came in as a part of a memo, I think, that Commissioner Kwan had sent. So I'd like to move that recommendation with the amendment that was in that memo. Let me just check my notes here. I think we've kind of covered it. Yeah, I would also reiterate that respecting the buffer zone, which of course we would always expect, is a very important thing, and it looks like that's being done right now, and that's the buffer to the floodplain. I will say I do appreciate the fact that we're looking at a green roof and an amenity space on the building that's right at Gamble and Yonge. I think that's actually really good. I do specifically appreciate the reduction into a more appropriate size of the buildings that are on the Gamble part of this property. I think that'll fit much better into the neighborhood, given the townhouses that they're backing onto and that are surrounding it. I think that's great. I do appreciate the fact that there is not going to be a road connection between that and Royal Chapin Crescent. But anyway, I just want to, I'll wrap up by saying I do appreciate that I think this is a very acceptable compromise and a good development opportunity for this land. And I think it will be a nice addition to that area when it's finally done. So those would be my comments, Mr. Mayor, and I guess we'll go from there. Thank you.
Okay, so you're moving forward. We need a seconder for 13-4. Do I have that? All right, Councilor Munch, thank you. Any other comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed, carried. Thank you. All right, our next.
Mr. Mayor, if I might, I just want to confirm that the one delegate, Mr. Vicario, has not arrived at the meeting. So we haven't given him the opportunity. So there is 13-8 to just be disposed of or dealt with because
Okay.
he was held for his purpose.
This is with regard to the short-term rental
Correct.
accommodations. Yes, remember council would like to move it here. Delegation never come. Member council wish to move 13-8. Please, thank you. Mr. Corrali. Councilor follows. Sorry, gentlemen. Deputy Mayor. Okay, our next item here.
Vote, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, yes, we should probably vote for that. All those in favor? Opposed, carried. Thank you. All right, our next item is our next delegation is, where am I looking here? Delegation is Lincoln Low 12-7, or given with regard to Montchamp. So who is speaking? Mr. Kwan, how are you?
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Perfect. Good morning, Mr. Mayor, members of council. My name is Lincoln Lowe, and I am a principal at Malone Given Parsons, representing Treasure Hill Homes on this request. I'd like to thank council for giving me a few minutes to be before you this morning, and to Deputy Mayor Pirelli for moving this motion forward. I'm accompanied by Mr. Jordan Wiener, Vice President at Treasure Hill Homes, as well as Ms. Stephanie Wong and Mr. Tim Kwan from the Montchamp Foundation, who will also be speaking briefly on this matter. I have prepared a brief slide deck that I'd like to present. Next slide, please. As I'm sure many of you are aware, the subject lands that I'll be discussing today are located at the southwest corner of Highway 404 and Major Mackenzie Drive. The lands are approximately 29 hectares or 72 acres in size, and they were subject to an employment land conversion that the region recently approved. Next slide. The concept plan contemplated by Treasure Hill proposes to transform these lands into a mixed-use, complete community. At a high level, the plan achieves many good planning principles that the city, region, and province are targeting, which I will briefly describe in my presentation. The plan will increase the diversity of the city's housing stock and will provide much-needed housing to the municipality. Richmond Hill, as many of you know, is largely built out. However, this plan does provide an opportunity to provide a number of ground-oriented dwellings that many families are still looking for. Next slide, please. The plan locates higher density uses along the Major Mackenzie frontage. As you can see in this slide, Major Mackenzie is a recognized regional rapid transit corridor. The greatest heights and densities are proposed at the corner of Highway 404 and Major Mackenzie to create an iconic gateway to the area. Development along Major Mackenzie thus far has been largely suburban in its built form. The proposed location of density along this corridor can serve as a catalyst to a development pattern that is more transit oriented and transit supportive. The plan also dedicates a parcel of land reserved for the Montchamp Foundation to operate a seniors integrated long-term care complex. Next slide, please. This is an example of their development in Markham. But the proposed complex here will include seniors' residences along with selective care and long-term care suites. Monshong is a proven long-term care operator. They have their headquarters in Richmond Hill. And this complex will meet their dynamic needs of seniors as their levels of care vary with age. Next slide, please. In addition to the seniors housing and the care needs that are addressed in every Monshong facility, these complexes are also major employment generators. It is anticipated that this facility, developed at a density similar to their other projects, will generate hundreds of high quality jobs for the community. Next slide, please. This plan will also expedite the extension of Vogel Road south of Major Mackenzie across the creek, which is a critical piece of infrastructure. These lands have already been subject to a draft plan of subdivision process and have an existing subdivision agreement in place. That means that the engineering design for this road has already been approved and its construction can proceed quickly should the minister's zoning order be approved. Approximately 8.5 hectares or 21 acres of the subject lands are open space lands proposed to be dedicated to the city or public authority. Taken together with the proposed public parks, which are also to be conveyed, this represents just under 40% of the subject lands returning to public ownership. The conveyance of the open space block will assist the city in providing a proposed cycling route that has been identified in their active transportation plans, as you can see here. I have been fortunate enough to have worked with both Treasure Hill and Monshong on applications prior to this project. I can speak with confidence that they are both incredibly reputable in their industries and are both known to deliver high quality developments. I personally think that this is potentially a very exciting project for the city of Richmond Hill. And I do look forward to working collaboratively with the city staff to move this process forward. And with that, as I mentioned before, I'm accompanied by Mr. Jordan Wiener, as well as Ms. Stephanie Wong and Mr. Tim Kwan, and I'll pass the baton to Jordan to speak a bit on this application as well.
Well, I'm sorry. Additional speakers, did you say?
Yeah, I had originally registered 3 speakers to speak on this matter. So I thought that each one would get 5 minutes.
Okay, go ahead.
Here we go. Hi there, can everyone hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much. Thank you, Lincoln. And I hope I don't sound repetitive. I'd like to echo a lot of what Lincoln Lowe had said. So, Mr. Mayor, Deputy Mayors, members of council, my name is Joran Wiener, and I am Vice President at Treasure Hill. Treasure Hill is a full-service development, construction, and community building firm that has built over 10,000 homes in numerous built forms throughout the GTA. We're proud that several of our communities have actually been built right here in the city of Richmond Hill. Since March of this year, we've been operating in a time of spectacular uncertainty. We're all aware that's why we're sitting in our different areas and we're not in a council chamber right now. And in the face of all this change, we've seen a continued and increased need and demand for housing of all types, an increased need and demand for long-term care and seniors housing, and an increased need and demand for real and tangible jobs of any kind. As a community builder, we've been fortunate enough to keep many of our direct and our vast indirect staff and trades employed through these difficult and uncharted times. And we're continually trying to provide job stability amidst so much uncertainty. The plan and project that Malone Givens Parsons has prepared in dialogue with Treasure Hill, the Monshong Foundation, city staff, and subject of Deputy Mayor Pirelli's motion to request the minister's zoning order from the province, addresses each of the needs and demands that I mentioned earlier. It will address the housing supply issues by providing a wide range of housing types and forms and affordability criteria. It addresses the urgent need to get shovels in the ground for long-term care beds, which I will let Ms. Stephanie Wong and Mr. Tim Kwan speak to afterwards. And the scale of the project addresses the need to rebuild and recover the local economy by providing hundreds of construction and ancillary jobs, as well as hundreds of long-term and permanent jobs. To echo what Lincoln had said, it truly is an exciting project, and it's been generated through lots of cooperation and lots of hard work. I'd like to commend City of Richmond Hill staff for keeping the dialogue flowing throughout as we moved through this process. And at this time, there's multiple interests that are at the table who are ready to go, ready to act. And through Deputy Mayor Pirelli's motion, and hopefully the balance of council's leadership and support, we can get the commitment and certainty we require to put shovels in the ground as early as next spring. The certainty that everyone gains through an MZO allows the project to move forward expeditiously and help us all in rebuilding and the rebuilding and recovery of Richmond Hill, the region of York, and the community at large. Once again, we look forward to continually working with City Council, City staff, our neighbors, and of course the Monchong Foundation to bring this project to fruition as soon as possible. With that, I'd like to pass the baton to Ms. Stephanie Wong and Mr. Tim Kwan from the Monchong Foundation. Thank you.
Go ahead. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Deputy Mayors, and members of Council. My name is Tim Kwan. I am a volunteer chairman of Monchong Foundation for more than 10 years and have served with Monchong for 25 years. We are excited on the opportunity to be able to provide new long-term care and a continuum of seniors care living, including charity care in Richmond Hill again. For the information on long-term care, I would leave it to our CEO, Stephanie Wong, because she is the one who works very hard with MOH long-term care, especially these days. My work usually involves the complementary continuum of care, where we have seniors care living, which is basically apartment with a lot of features, and charity living. So with that, I'll pass it on to our CEO, Stephanie Wong.
Welcome, Ms. Wong.
Hi, good morning.
We don't have your,
You're muted, Ms. Wong.
you're muted.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good morning, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. Thanks for the opportunity to speak today. And I'm Stephanie Wong of Monchong Foundation, and we are the operator currently for 3 long-term care homes at Darcy, Scarborough, and of course at Richmond Hill. And as we speak, we actually are doing construction on a new long-term care center at Stouffville. And the estimate is to have the occupancy available next June. We are working very closely with the Ministry of Long-Term Care for that. And basically, our communication is almost weekly. We have a very high wait list. The overall wait list is over 6,000. And in Richmond Hill alone is over 2,000, which means that the wait list could range from 3 years to 5 years. And imagine somebody actually is on the wait list, they need to go into the long-term care right away. How can they wait for 3 to 5 years or even longer? And in fact, the longest wait of one resident that we have, they've waited for 12 years. So imagine how can that be? We actually rank #1 in terms of wait list in the Central Lynn area. And Richmond Hill is within the Central Lynn area or the territory governed by the Ministry of Health. In fact, we have already submitted an application to the Ministry of Long-Term Care last year for 288 long-term care licenses for new long-term care in Richmond Hill. So it's currently under review, and we are hopeful to hear from them very soon. With the long-term care center alone, for that size, 288 beds, we would create over or almost 400 jobs in Richmond Hill. So that is something we are very excited with. Thank you.
Nope, thank you. All right, we now have this item, this is delegation. Actually, the item number, and please tell me, 1413 is a member motion.
Correct, Mr. Mayor.
Yep, that we would bring forward at this time. Councilor Pirelli.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you to Stephanie Wong, Tim Kwan, Lincoln Lowe, and Joran Wiener. But more importantly, Mr. Mayor, I want to thank staff. Staff have gone above and beyond the call of duty on this, Mr. Mayor. They share the same vision that I share, that Treasure Hill shares, and that Monshong shares. This is something that is desperately needed. Mr. Mayor, you'll notice that on my, when I submitted my motion as per the procedural bylaw, it needed to be in 1 week before, and that was last Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. It was interesting that on the very next day, the province announced a news release, which I then added to my motion as an attachment. And interestingly enough, it speaks to all of the things that staff and the applicant have been working collaboratively towards. Staff's job in all of this, Mr. Mayor, I want to assure everybody that their job was to look at the bylaw, look at the concept plan, and make sure that the rights of Richmond Hill are protected. And I can say to you, Mr. Mayor, and my colleagues on council, that they were still working on the finer little details, the final brushstrokes, up to about an hour ago. And I'm proud to announce that all the concerns of staff have been met. And there's going to be certainty going forward that the Monshong will have the ability to put their project on there on the lands that they require. I understand there's been a lot of work that's gone into this, and I just want to speak briefly on all of the check marks that all the boxes we're going to check off, Mr. Mayor, as a result of this project. One of the things that staff will concur is that the Vogel Road continuation, both from the north and from the south, is considered critical infrastructure. And you'll read on the news release that came out last Thursday that the very number one thing that they're asking the municipalities to use the minister's zoning order for is critical infrastructure, transportation, etc. If we ask our engineering staff, they'll tell us that this is critical infrastructure and is needed. And as Mr. Mayor is very well aware of, the discussion between the rice lands, as they're known to most people, and the lands to the south owned by BAIF have always been linked together, as it were. And in order to continue the Vogel Road, we need a bridge, as Mr. Mayor is very well aware. And it's always been an issue as to who's going to pay for the bridge. It's like the chicken and the egg. What comes first? Well, I'm proud to say that today, at least, there's a step forward. We know now that if we approve this, and the minister approves it, that we're going to be able to put shovels in the ground quickly. The Vogel Road, starting at Major Mac, coming through the Treasure Hill / Rice lands, will come to an abut with the BAIF lands. So I'm also proud to announce, Mr. Mayor, that all members of council have received a letter as a written delegation from BAIF in support of the MZO. And of course, if with their support and the moving ahead of this road, we'll be able to continue Vogel and make the complete connection and build that road that is critically needed so that other lands are accessible, which are today otherwise landlocked. So that's just one of the check boxes that are, one of the boxes that are checked off. Secondly, Mr. Mayor, we all know that we need jobs. We need a lot of jobs, and we need good paying jobs. And that's where the construction industry has helped us get through these unprecedented times. It is the construction industry that's kept the economy going and its ancillary uses. As well, you know, this land originally, a long time ago, was employment lands. And the person who owned that land is a commercial developer, second to none, and this land has been problematic for that capacity. But the types of jobs that would have been created would have been like big box store jobs on the lower paying scale. The jobs in long-term care are very good jobs, jobs that people can build a family on and move their families forward and purchase property, etc. And I guess I'll wrap it up a little bit, Mr. Mayor, because I'm very excited about this, as all the other presenters are. But I really want to thank staff for all that they've done. We have a concept plan, which is just that. And we have a bylaw that, by the way, for anybody who's interested, is basically mimicking the bylaw of North Leslie, which went through years and years of scrutiny. And staff are very pleased with that. So, Mr. Mayor, I'm happy to see that we're all working collaboratively. The province, the city, the long-term care providers, and the applicants. I think this is a wonderful project moving forward, and that's why I decided to champion this and move this motion today. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. Are you going to bring forward our 4.3 member motion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, is there a seconder, please, for this? Seconder, please. For the member motion. Thank you. Councillor Munch. So that was the first hand I saw, sorry. All right, so mover and seconder, comments, questions, I guess, or we can just move ahead. Any other comments? Councillor Munch, seconder.
Thank you for the application. I'm happy to second this. I'd like to mention lots of discussion has happened in this particular application. I would like to specifically thank Castro Liu, whose ward it's on, because lots of discussion has happened, and I want to make absolutely certain that my support of this is based upon long-term care and to make sure that we have support for our community. I thank Munchung, I thank the BAFE, I thank the applicant in terms of Treasure Hill. This is an intent. At first, I was not enamored by moving this to on a concept plan without full details. And the fact that Councillor Liu moved forwards and made sure that this was going to be used predominantly for long-term care for the particular area, given the long wait, deserves some level of credit. And I want to thank him specifically for the effort that I was involved with in his collaboration. They didn't make mention, but he should know about that. And I want everyone to know that. I've had lots of debates with the mover of the motion and some heated discussions, but at the end of the day, I think this is a very good opportunity for us to go to the province, given last Thursday's direction, that we try to move in this type of manner and that we move expeditiously and that we give confidence to Munchung and the applicant to move forwards. This is the right thing for us to do. It's a great vision. I think it's great leadership on behalf of all the parties. I want to also thank the mayor and the deputy mayor, Joe DePaula, for being involved. I've heard their support, although quiet support, but today, but in the background, they have been active on this, and I think everyone should know that. So I'm really happy to see the parks are going to be done. I'm happy to, I spoke with the applicants. They're going to be committed to providing a lot of green space there. They're going to be providing to putting recreation facilities, one of which have, I want to say thank them for putting some tennis, frankly, for what they're going to do for the residents who like that. And that's all I have to say. I think it's really exciting times. I hope we can get unanimous support so we can send a message to the province that we absolutely want to make sure that we are committed to providing for our residents and that these types of lands in the 404 corridor are a good opportunity for us, a good location, and it fits well. So that's my comments. Thank you so much for everybody.
Thank you. Any other comments? Any wishes? Deputy Mayor DePaolo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I too want to congratulate my regional council colleagues, Deputy Mayor Pirelli and you, Mayor Barrow, for the work that we've done to make the region aware that we have to do some unique things to get employment into Richmond Hill. We've been successful with a couple of great motions and been supported at the region. And this is one of them. This employment conversion led to what we're talking about here today. This has been a great collaboration, and this is exactly what the province is alluding to, and what they want to see. They want to see municipalities get creative to find real jobs, real employment, and to make the best use of their transit supported areas, because it's a new market. There's no such thing as the old exclusive industrial employment areas. There's a lot of desire for mixed use live work areas, and I think this one is going to be fabulous if all the different parties can come together. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Councillor Silowitz.
Sorry, I was trying to unmute. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you to whatever has been presented so far, and of course to staff and the work that they've done. However, I have a problem with this, speaking to only the ministerial zoning order request. I have no concerns with the Monshong Foundation, and I don't want this to be misconstrued as that at all. They are a superb organization, and there's no question that we need more long-term care facilities throughout Ontario. That's not what this is about for my comments. My concern with the ministerial zoning order is that it circumvents or it leapfrogs over inclusive public consultation. So for me, that is a concern. And I understand the need for us to move things along, and I am not against that at all. But what I do oppose is the request for a ministerial zoning order. Ministerial zoning orders, or MZOs, are used by the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing to basically overrule local planning and including the ability to have necessary public consultations. And it also designates how the land will be used. It's not possible to appeal MZOs, unlike applications approved through the normal processes. So this is my concern, and that is the one reason that I'm going to oppose this. It has nothing to do with anything else other than I believe that the institution of a ministerial zoning order here will preclude the appropriate public consultation that is absolutely necessary. I'm also concerned that there is no application proper that has been submitted to the city. So therefore, we don't know what the road network is. We don't know what the public infrastructure needs are. We have no idea what the parkland needs are or what parkland dedication there shall be. So those are my concerns. I don't want to repeat myself here, but my major concern is the lack of public input. Yes, this is before us now, and this is an opportunity for the public to participate and give their input. I get that, but we are circumventing, normal processes, and Deputy Mayor Pirelli can shake his head as much as he wants. These are my comments, Mayor Barrow, and I'm allowed to say them without the insult of what is going on there in that particular block belonging to Deputy Mayor Pirelli. I find it offensive. Okay. My concern is the need for a ministerial zoning order. I fully support what the province wants to do. I fully support long-term care facilities, but this particular application, this particular site is not just about the Monshong long-term care facility. That is not what this is about. It is about a far greater development proposal. So those are my concerns. They've been noted for the record here, and I cannot agree to this for the one specific reason that a ministerial zoning order is being requested. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other comments? Seeing, oh, Councilor Barrows. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just thought for the benefit of the viewers at home and maybe some of my colleagues that just aren't aware of what's going on at the provincial level. Minister Clark was actually quoted most recently at an AMO conference. Whether it's helping to build long-term care homes in Innisfil, he said, or Clarington, or hundreds of housing units included for seniors in Richard-Stouffville, these minister's zoning orders help get shovels in the ground faster, create jobs, and support local priorities, Minister Clark said. The province is encouraging us in these times to utilize the tools that the Planning Act has at our disposal. So, Mr. Mayor, for someone to say that this is circumventing, no, we're a child of the province, and the province is saying, please use the tools at your disposal to get shovels in the ground. And I can think of nothing more important than getting long-term care facilities built. We've heard of the delays. We've seen the devastating effects in our community without them. To delay any longer for the proposed, we're not circumventing something, I think that is negligent, Mr. Mayor. We need to move as quickly as possible. So I'm more than happy to support the good work that's been done here, and I'm willing to use the tools that the province is encouraging us to use. Thank you.
No, thank you. Everyone has their opinion, that's for sure. Councillor West.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can I, before I even say anything, can I actually ask that somebody put on the screen the actual plan? Because that was the first time I got to see it a few minutes ago. I requested it from the clerk a couple of days ago, and I was under the understanding at that time that it wasn't available to him at that time as a part of the agenda.
Could have called me.
Okay.
Yeah, through Mr. Mayor, we're just pulling up the presentation that Mr. Lowe gave.
Yep, fair enough. Request.
It was the piece that showed, yeah, that's it. Okay, I'm having a hard time even seeing this on my screen, but what are the blue and yellow and orange pieces? Are they single detached homes or I guess in townhomes? Through you, Mr. Mayor, to, I don't even know who.
I don't know if anybody's left.
Yes, I can answer, Mr. Mayor. I'm happy to answer Councillor West. Yes, the blue, Councillor West, are townhomes. The orange are single family, and the yellow are single family.
Okay, so we're going to put a single family, low density, medium density community on this land. That's part, except for the high density long-term care facility pieces. And I see two of them. Is that correct?
Yes. Again, this is through you, Mr. Mayor. This is a concept. The plan itself is subject to change. What's important, I think, what you're looking for is that the bylaw itself says that these are permitted uses. And more importantly, one of the things that Councillor Liu and other members of council insisted upon was that 1.6 hectares, which is what
that's not my question, but if I could continue, that would be great.
Absolutely.
Thank you. So, Mr. Mayor, I want to be clear then. I don't need this on the screen anymore. Thank you. I want to be clear. So I do appreciate hearing the presentation from Monchong, and I actually, I think that they do a great job, and I think that there is a need. I'm actually appreciative during the presentation on what the specific needs are for Monchong. It's actually shocking. So I think there's no question in my mind that that's a good use for these lands. I got to be honest with you. I'm very disappointed actually that these lands are not fully being used for employment. I was not in favor when we talked about this the last time in this council. I think it's very ironic that, according to regional council, we're in need of more employment land on 400 series highways. And we've converted this now to something that does have a component still of employment land, but we're not, in my opinion, getting as much juice out of the lemon, so to speak, as we should be with regard to employment land. And that I find that very disappointing. But I think, so I want to be clear, the long-term care part of this application, I actually don't have a problem with. And as a matter of fact, given the fact that it's right across the ravine from, I believe, where the Care First facility we're working on, I think it actually would create a cluster of long-term care facilities. And that's probably, I'm not an expert on long-term care facility business models, but I presume that that's probably a good thing. And I would be happy to consider the possibility of changing the land use in that area to allow for that cluster to be facilitated. And I would also be happy to see that happen immediately, as quickly as we possibly can, send it back to staff and say, listen, let's get this going, but let's get it going in the normal process that we see. A ministerial zoning order, as much as what was said previously, is not the normal part of the planning process that we see on a daily basis. I get it that the provincial government has been using MZOs considerably more than they have in the previous provincial government, but I still think that I agree to a large degree with what Councillor Sullivan said, that it is bypassing the regular planning process that you would use under even remotely normal circumstances, which I do believe this is somewhat unusual, but it's not that unusual that I would consider using an MZO in a situation like this. So I actually, the fact that we don't really have, it's a concept plan, okay, fine, but what does that really mean? What is the full or even preliminary to full analysis that's being done by staff? If we decide to not go with an MZO, but give staff the mandate to move this along as quickly as possible, they will give us the benefit, all 9 of us, the benefit of a full analysis that says, this part of the concept plan is a great idea. I would be very supportive of the LTC component of that. But these parts of the concept plan are not really to our benefit, and we need to therefore do something that the community can get a more benefit from. It's not a matter of holding up the process. We can get this going quickly to perhaps even very quickly, and I suspect if it was made a priority, we could probably get it going to a large degree in the same time frame that an MZO could happen. And Mayor Pirelli, okay, so the thing is that, in the grand, longer scheme of things, which we all live in, whether it happens, in this month or the next month or the next month, I really do believe the pipeline, one way or the other, would come out to roughly the same point. So anyway, those are my comments. I would love to have seen this happen in a way that is with the regular planning process, and council all gets behind it and says, you know what, we need to do this in the regular planning process with the benefit of our in-house expertise, for the benefit that is known the best by us as council, not a minister in Queen's Park, that the specific details of this plan can be done well for our community. So I have some problems that I can't reconcile at this point in time. So I don't think I'll be able to support this. But again, I do want to be clear that I do think that regardless of how this goes one way or the other, I still would very much like to get behind the long-term care component of it, which is a very small percentage of the actual application. So that I'd like to see happen regardless, but I think the rest of the lands, which is the vast majority of them, I think we could be doing a better and more thoughtful job on that, and I would like to see that happen.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Liu.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name was mentioned several times, so I think I'm obligated to say something. So, well, thank you for the kind words, though. You know what? Originally, I shared the same concern with some of our council colleagues. That's why I think last night I talked to staff, I talked to the mover of the motion, Deputy Mayor Pirelli, and a few colleagues, just to make sure that I understand this is a concept plan. And I just want to make sure that, you know, the one and only one reason that I'm supporting this is because of the long-term care facilities. We are in a huge demand, and you heard that the waiting list is incredible. So through you, Mr. Mayor, to staff, or either staff or Deputy Mayor, the mover of the motion, just for the record, I just want to make sure that, you know, we have some insurance in having that long-term care is going to be there. And also the concept plan, hopefully, I don't know, you know, I heard that it might be out of the city control, you know, after the ministerial order. But I just want to hear from my colleagues or staff that this is not going to happen. So do we have any provisions that make sure that the concept plan that we are seeing today is going to actually happen? Through Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead.
Happy to respond. Sorry, my mic. That is absolutely correct. Councillor Liu and I, as well as other members of council, have had many discussions throughout this process, as recently as yesterday evening. And I, as well as everybody else who's contacted me, share the exact same thing. Yes, to answer your question, Councillor Liu, your request was added by Gus Galanis last night, who has been the main lead on the bylaw. As we all know, the bylaw reigns supreme. The plan is simply just a concept. But in that plan, and I want to make sure we confirm that with staff, that there was a provision put in that 1.6 hectares of land, which is the requirement that Monshong needs, that is discussed in the memorandum of understanding signed by President Nicholas Fadday from Treasure Hill, which represents 700,000 square feet of building. This is not a small project by any stretch of the imagination, creating 400 to 600 well-paid jobs and meeting that requirement have been entrenched in the bylaw. So the concept plan doesn't matter, but 1.6 hectares, the only use can be for the long-term care, seniors residents, and retirement residents. And before we move any further, I don't know who's here on staff. Gus Galanis, I see him on the screen. If we can go to Gus Galanis, Mr. Mayor, to confirm that that is part of the bylaw as we speak.
Through you, Mayor Barrow, yes, I can confirm that. The latest version of the MZO that we have received does include that exact provision that we discussed with Deputy Mayor Pirelli and Councillor Liu yesterday. And in fact, it states that that minimum lot area has to be preserved only for those uses. I can confirm that, yes.
Mr. Mayor, I'd also like to add that about 30 acres approximately of protected lands will be in the ownership of the city once and for all, including the heritage home that sits in those lands. This was at the request. None of those lands will be used for parkland dedication, which was some of the concerns from other members of council. That land will be in the city's ownership for our use. I also confirmed through Deborah Giannetta and Michelle that we have, as the city owning those lands in the future, have the ability to use that lands as we see fit. In other words, if we want a continuation of trails, it's there for the use. Anyways, it's Councillor Liu's time. I'll
say. Go ahead.
Well, thank you very much for the confirmation. This parcel of land has been sitting there since before I'm a councillor. I understand that it used to be an employment land, and it was confirmed to me that, you know, through the region, It is not employment land anymore. So the fact that it's going to be residential mixed use there, and I'm happy to see a long-term care center in there. That's why, and it's the only reason that I'm supporting this. And wonderful mention that the movement motion mentioned about the bridge. It's been a problem long time, and I'm happy to see that infrastructure in place. Much needed infrastructure. It affects the whole area, even on the north side. So I understand that the process is a little bit tricky, but I'm in support of that motion, and thank you, Deputy Mayor Pirelli, for taking the lead on this one. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Chan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and I think that is something I want to, for the record, also appreciate that. I heard a lot of C words: cooperation, collaborative, and certainty. So insofar as getting to the outcome, and thank you for the opportunity to hear all that. And I do understand from the mover, Deputy Mayor, certainly you have done quite a bit of, I can see, the background work. Although I wasn't privy to your talks with other colleagues of mine, but I trust that based on what you're just saying and confirmed from staff that you did a lot of work behind it. And I have no problem whatsoever in terms of supporting when good quality jobs are being created. And that kind of still conform to the employment lands designation. Now, having said that, the nature of that is somewhat a little bit different, how we get there. So I think what I'm trying to say is that I'm fully supportive of the end product, meaning that we have really creative opportunity to have jobs, quality jobs with the long-term care. And Mount Shang have over 50 years of establishing long-term care, also in Richmond Hill. And thank you, Mr. Kwang and Ms. Wong. And so I have no issue with that whatsoever. I think I just need some clarification how we get there. And a couple of my colleagues talking about is the ministerial zoning order is the best way to get to it. So through you, Mr. Mayor, can I maybe seek some guidance or reaction, advice from staff? Is the city or town in the past ever applied for minister's zoning order? So are we setting a precedent? Yes or no? It's very straightforward question for you, Mr. Chair.
Staff member, you respond? Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'm not aware of an MZO being applied for by the city, but it is a tool in the toolbox, as has already been mentioned.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so that settles the one of the question I have. Are we setting a precedent? And then the next question is that from my end is we are setting a precedent for what purpose, to what benefit? Now, I think I might touch on the purpose because the end product is something that sounds like that all councillors or majority would like to see. Is that alternative process will get to where we want to get at the product, meaning at the end. So what I'm trying to assess is that that on one hand, I'm supportive of where we're going to, based on the concept plan, based on that we are going to the long-term care to be developed by demonstrated, capable, and productive Mount Shang partner with the city of Richmond Hill. Is there any alternative process other than the minister's zoning order? Perhaps I put that question to you, Mr. Mayor, that maybe staff can help me. Is there any other alternative to get to there? Or maybe the mover could help?
Well, we have use
I'm happy to answer that question, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, fair enough.
Thank you. It's a very good question, Councillor Chan. There are many alternatives and many ways to get to the end product. I think we all agree on that. We want to see this happen. It's just some members of council would like to see it done a different way, which is go through the regular channels that have been used before. And I understand and appreciate that. the whole purpose of this is that there's a lot of groups coming together at this time and place. And the tool, Minister Zoning Order, was designed for exactly this purpose. When we need 2,000 beds in York Region, and Mon Shong says, we're ready to go right now, let's go, then this is what the zoning order does. Because as was articulated by Councillor Silovitz, yes, the Minister Zoning Order cannot be appealed. And there's a reason why it can't be appealed. It can't be appealed to add those delays that everybody's worried about. Because yes, through the alternative process that you speak of, we could get a zoning bylaw amendment done probably in the next 8 months. But if anyone appeals it, it could drag on the process for an extra 2 years, especially during these COVID times. And this is the reason why the minister has encouraged us with the news release to ask for the zoning order to get it done quickly. Now, the important part is, and everybody's asked about, yes, we support the long-term care. We're not so much in support of the rest of the concept plan. But here's the reality that we're faced with. In order, the strategic location for the long-term care is in that south portion near the highway. In order to get there, we need to build the road to get to that location. And there's a lot of other other boxes that are checked off. And that's why you say, is there another process? Yes. Is it a viable process? No. And the alternative is that if we don't help get this going, the answer is that land is going to stay like that as is forever, and we lose all of these other wonderful opportunities. Thank you for the question, Councillor Chan.
Thank you. Thank you for the explanation. So really, we are talking about the benefit, if I'm hearing correctly, is the time. And because you might run the risk of the deal falling off, so to speak. So I hear that. So on that note, I took comfort that I believe is mentioned by staff or someone that at the end of the day, that when majority of council, I will be supportive of now that I'm seeking the explanation and clarification, looking what alternatives are. At the end of the day, that the decision is sort of balancing, what are the interests and the potential risks we might open to. Am I hearing that in a bylaw, we can specifically include that the concept plan as we see today, because we don't have much time to look at it before today, well, I don't anyway. So that would be something on which our decision on council, as this I for one, and I'm voting for yes, would be based on. So that, because it's not in a motion, but presumably the concept plan would be as part of the bylaw that actually go to the minister. I just want to have assurance for that. Thank you.
It states there, a new concept plan is prepared.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I'm happy to answer. Councillor Chan, that's the exact question that Councillor Liu insisted upon, and that's what Mr. Galanis was referring to. 1.6 hectares, which is what's required for the long-term care portion, has to be used for long-term care. It cannot be used for anything else.
I got that, thank you. Because maybe there's concern of Councillor Liu as well. I think the last thing is that when it got approved by the minister through the Minister Zoning Order, the last thing you want is that the townhouse now all of a sudden become 15-story buildings. No, I'm just saying that this is the, some sort of assurance of comfort. I, for one, want to feel comfortable when I vote yes, because I see the end product of this concept plan is going to have, like this particular community, as well as I'm hearing the strategic anchor of the LTC long-term care. So thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and getting some of the clarification. I would like to see that, the opportunity for developing, in this case, for good jobs, quality jobs, but more than ever, long-term care is what really something we all want to really promote, and quality safety care for our seniors. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We going forward? We're going to move. No, sorry, Councillor Munch.
Please, yeah, thank you. Just real quick, I'd like to, if I can, I'd like to thank frankly, a lot of people here. First of all, well, no particular order, but I think I agree 100% with Councillor Silovitz, where she is saying, listen, we have to follow a process here and make sure we get public consultation. We want a great respect for our staff. And I'm going to say to you, I agree with her 100%. 100%. And I'm gonna talk about the little end. I also like to thank Councillor Greg Barros for mentioning how the minister is trying to communicate how important it is for us as a municipalities, as one of the many children, 444 in Ontario, how it is important for us to work together and try to provide the service. I'd like to thank Manshung for coming forward. It gives huge confidence. What was mentioned also, which is why I went my initial comments, I was really concerned to make sure that this was used for a long-term care facility. We were going to get parkland and have a conveyance and have roads and infrastructure. And there was some massive debate because I agreed with Councillor Silovitz, where I was saying I really want to make sure that we have a public engagement, want to hear comments, we want to have our staff engagement, want to hear from TRCA. And Councillor Liu stepped up and said, hey, look, I want to make sure that this is secured. And through many, many engagements, and if you look at the motion from what was a week ago from where it is today, there's been substantial movement. And that shows how we as a council and the leadership, what we're doing, we absolutely all want the senior care. What was brought to my attention last week is that when we were trying to engage, I tried to engage with staff as well. And there just wasn't a capacity for us internally to move on a time frame that was really where Manshung wanted us to go. And I think that carried the weight for me, where we said, hey, we're going to get our long-term care. We're going to be focused on getting these conveyance of lands. We're going to be going quickly. And that, there was some flexibility coming from the province that gives us more flexibility than we could have internally. And I think that's something that I would say to staff, that we need to move that, we need to move things along, and we need to think about that. We need to look at the end product as well. But that's the only reason being, is just because we don't want this to drag on too long, and we want to move this thing pretty quickly, and we want to get all those conveyance that on balance, we have a concept that makes sense from where we want to go. So that's the only reason why I think this is a great opportunity to find a win-win with some leadership that was done by the senior executives of the council, the deputy mayor and the mayor and Councillor Liu. And I'd like to say thanks for that. So again, ministerial zoning orders aren't the standard protocol of the day. It does take away public consultation, and we do want to make sure we have a wholesome discussion. I want to thank the councillors for having the courage, Councillor Silva specifically and West to a degree, for mentioning that. And I 100% agree, but we, on balance, I think this is a good application for where we need to go. And I'd like to thank everybody for showing real compassion to, most importantly, the people of Richmond Hill. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, wrap it up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And Mr. Mayor, we've heard all of the comments here today, and I want to thank my council colleagues. I just want to close with one request. I know for a fact that the minister's office is watching what's going on here today. They've been asked, they've agreed that they will be watching via whatever it is, YouTube, wherever they watch. They're not part of the delegates, but they're watching. And it's very important, Mr. Mayor, and I plead with all members of council, I would really like a unanimous support to show the province that we are united here in Richmond Hill, that we are going to move the agenda of the majority forward, notwithstanding the comments that were made. I ask that Councillor Silovitz and Councillor West please support this motion to show unity in moving forward. I think it sends a strong message to the province. It sends a strong message to Manshung, and it sends a strong message to our staff to continue in collaborative work with everybody. Those are my comments. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, then I would ask all those in favor, please. Opposed?
Recorded vote, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Pardon me. Voting on the motion moved by Regional Local Councillor Pirelli, seconded by Councillor Munch. Regional Local Councillor Pirelli.
Yes.
Councillor Munch.
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor West.
No.
Councillor Barros.
Yes.
Councillor Chan.
Yes.
Mayor Barrow.
Yes.
Councillor Silovitz.
No.
Regional Local Councillor DePaula. Sorry, Regional Local Councillor DePaula.
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor Liu.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That motion carries.
Thank you. All right, we now move down. I have here, I got 13.8, the Tracy Director Delegation.
Mr. Mayor, that one has been completed. The
Okay.
next item is actually 13.7, which was
Councillor
pulled by
Chance.
Councillor Chan.
Yeah, okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, I was thinking that in this particular situation, I'm thankful to the staff for actually taking the time and report back. I know this is a motion I move in originally asking or seeking staff with approval of council then to look at the feasibility of about the potential of adding in really precise definition for spas and wellness centers, as well as the feasibility of licensing or regulating this industry. So I do appreciate staff undertaking the time, also meeting with the groups. In fact, I did also meet with one of the groups mentioned in the staff report, and I'm also very mindful in various discussions over the last 2 years with the York Regional Police, their effort in working with our bylaw to really try to contain and address the issue. So I have to say, and want to take this opportunity, Mr. Mayor, on record, I want to thank staff for the time and the bylaws, particularly for the action on their own, as well as working in teams with the police officers and really address this issue. So I am satisfied with after doing all the diligent review and with the conclusion they come to. So I'm putting this out to express my sincere appreciation of our staff and the work, and I'm happy to move a recommendation on the report itself. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Seconder, please. Councillor West, all those in favor?
I actually was going to make a comment, Mr. Mayor, if I might. I'll just be very brief. I want also to thank staff for this report. It seems a little counterintuitive before I read the report that we wouldn't want to license this because the need for controlling this type of activity is so incredibly important, and it has effects on a number of other things, that go as deep as human trafficking. So I must admit, the report really outlines that, the approach that we're taking and that's recommended in this report to continue to take is the best approach to do it. I mean, I don't think it's a perfect solution, and I think we are going to need a lot more support from the police and whoever other authorities that we can have. But I really appreciate the having the benefit of this thorough staff report to understand all the intricacies of this. And I think that's really a valuable, addition to our ability to make good decisions for the community. So I want to thank staff for doing that, and I'm happy to move this forward.
Okay, all those in favor? Opposed, carried. Next item I have is member motion, Councillor West, traffic safety. Sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So thank you for allowing me the opportunity to present this. Over the last number of years, especially the last few years, I've seen for sure, and I'm sure this is probably the same for a lot of councillors, have seen a great increase in the number of complaints that we're getting about municipal streets from residents about traffic issues that are going on those streets and the dangers and safety issues that they entail. So this is something I've been waiting for quite some time for. The traffic operations study is the meat and potatoes of this motion. And I believe that traffic operations study, I've been told in my many conversations with staff over the years that study will allow us to take a look at putting more tools in our toolbox to be able to deal with traffic issues on our local streets. And there are things like speeding, distracted driving, school zone issues, and so on and so forth. I feel over the years that we need more things that we can do and more tools in the toolbox, so to speak, to be able to deal with all the range and increasing numbers of these traffic issues. So I want to get this traffic operations study on the books, get it going, and get the results so that we can have more tools in the toolbox to deal with all the different things that we're going to be needing to as we grow and for right now. I do understand that staff in that department is very busy. So, I mean, essentially what this motion is asking for is to let staff know that this is a priority, that we need to do whatever we need to do to get it going. I will say that since I crafted this motion, I do know that some of the hiring that I believe is necessary to facilitate this study being done is actually already underway. So, we're not adding any specific staff to this. We just need to get hired the person that will help us to get this done. So I'm happy to answer questions about this, although I will say that, the questions that really need to be answered here are really going to come out of a more proactive approach, I believe, that this traffic operations study can give us. And so that's the end result. I would mention that I also put a little piece in there about photo radar, because I think that is a tool in the toolbox that we could desperately use right now. It's not the silver bullet by any stretch, but at the present moment, as I'm sure all my colleagues know, that particular tool is not realistically available to municipalities due to some financial issues that come along with it. So I think that needs to be addressed, and I would take this opportunity at the same time to send a letter to the appropriate authorities to expedite that process as quickly as we can. I'd also say that it's interesting that we have this issue or this proposal, from Roadwatch, because that actually is also, I believe, we'll comment on that in a minute, I guess, but that also is a very innovative tool that I believe we should have in our toolbox better than it is now. We've always had Roadwatch in our toolbox, but I think, making it more accessible to more people has the potential to also help. At the end of the day, I am getting, as I said, I'm still getting a lot of phone calls from residents and emails and so on about various issues. I believe that those issues have increased over the years, and they certainly have, some specific ones have increased during the COVID period, but the increase has happened. COVID's just shining a light on what was already there. So I think this would give us the ability to be not reactive to our traffic issues that we see right now, but proactive, so that we can get ahead of the curve and try to be able to, as we grow further, to deal with the issues and have the different things available to staff with the appropriate policies and procedures and so on, to use those different tools, at our disposal. So I'd like to get that done, and I hope that this motion is a way to reach that goal. Thank you.
Okay, second, Councillor Chan, I saw a hand, and Councillor Barrows.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I would be happy to second the motion for a couple of reasons. Number one, I presume my colleagues also were actually articulated by the mover. One of the common complaints or concerns as what councillors is that about the traffic safety. And definitely that's one of the reasons that as a mover is talking about, we need to have the appropriate tools in that toolbox. So that's why I'll be happy to support it. Specifically, the second reason is about precisely that turning into that using the photo radar, this additional toolbox. Thirdly, is particular for the city that if we are moving that to be proposing to using the AMPS, that actually that would be a good way, or AMPS, which is Administrative Monetary Penalty System, because that means any particular revenues that are coming in to the city would help pay for the additional services or other resources we have to consume. So I'm happy to support it. One, it supports road safety. Number two, it actually asking permission from the province for the consideration of having this additional tool to help monitor traffic, to help to deter the aggressive driving. And third, to have the also AMPS for revenue to be coming to the city sooner than later. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Councilor Barros, comment? Yes, please. Go ahead.
I couldn't help but notice, Mr. Mayor, that a few moments ago, the province offered us additional tools, and we have members of council saying, no, we don't want to use those additional tools. And I find it kind of ironic because now we've got a motion in front of us that says to the province, please give us more tools. So when they offer them, we say, no, that's not appropriate. But then when we don't have them, we ask for them.
Point of order, Mr. Mayor. I'm
Point
sorry.
of order, Mr. Mayor.
There is no point of order, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, Councilor Barros. What's the point?
The point is that what he's talking about has nothing to do with the motion that's in front of us. That one is about a planning issue. One of them is about a traffic issue.
Okay.
I would ask for your ruling, Mr. Mayor.
I'm trying to figure out, Councilor Chan finished off the whole process. So I know some. Councilor Barros, I think actually you're talking about the way we're dealing with things and the two things we've already dealt with already. So I truly believe there was no need for that. Thank you. I do.
Okay, so what we're talking about here is the request for more tools. And I guess the question then perhaps to the director. Mr. Terziowski will be the director of this department, I believe. Are you finding, sir, that your staff is not able to complete the work that we're asking the province to help us with? I've in the past found that you guys have been doing a bang up job.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, we've been managing to do the work and deal with traffic complaints on a case-by-case basis. I think the intent of this study was always to give us a set of toolbox and more than that, some council policy and guidance with respect to how we deal with traffic complaints in the future and requests from residents. And I think once we get that, it will help make things much more efficient and hopefully will allow us to deal with these complaints in a more efficient and quicker manner as the volume of those complaints seems to be increasing year after year. In terms of the AMPS program, right now, the challenges we're facing as staff to implement that is the capital cost associated with implementing AMPS, or sorry, not AMPS, photo radar, and having that move to AMPS as part of the fee recovery would help offset those costs, and then we could move forward to implement that.
So if I heard you correctly, and if I haven't, please correct me. Currently, we're not able to get to the residents' complaints in a timely manner because the province has put in restrictions, and we need to get the Attorney General on board to increase our level of service. I haven't found that problem in the past. Like I said, you guys have been very responsive in looking after this. Those are my only comments right now, Mr. Mayor. I'm just curious to see what the rest of my colleagues have to say on this. Thank you.
Okay. Is there any other speaker? Councilor Munch.
Good day. I'm a bit torn on this. Number one is I think we all want more revenue tools, absolutely. I think number two, though, with regard to public safety, absolutely, we all want that. And I too am getting a lot of complaints with regard to that. However, photo radar has not been proven to actually help public safety because when that incident actually happens and comes regularly, people aren't informed and incidents happen. So there's no real confidence with regards to photo radar and public safety statistics upon doing the research that I did. So I think this is a little bit of we want money, we want to give the impression, what have you, because as people come from around and they move back and forth, we have to be careful of that. So I'm going to say to you that I do want public safety. I'm really happy that the mover talked about school zones and not beyond the school zones, at least initially, because I think that's the argument that's going to give us some weight at the province. And then from there, we can see how it plays out and goes from there. So bit of everywhere, but I do think that if we all talk about traffic, Mr. Terziewski, traffic and parking and these other things are really, really substantive in how we do our communities. And it really is impacting us on how we plan going forward. It's getting worse. So traffic, schools, school zones, public safety is very, very important. And I hope that everybody, not just, hey, I want a slap shot to affect people because of planning criteria that we're not focused on trying to create, transit supportive developments in communities. I think we really need to get there. So I'm going to support the motion based upon that school zone and public safety and try to transition in there. I think as a citywide to start from, given some of the things that we've done and this council has chosen and where we've been going with regard to parking standards, what have you, really wouldn't have supported otherwise. So thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Crowley, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Nothing is more important than the safety in our community, obviously. This is a situation, an issue that is citywide. There's no community that is immune to this type of behavior, driving, and so on and so forth. The reality is that it is usually the people who live in the neighborhood that are the violators of the safety. Mr. Mayor, what I have some concern about is the lack of a staff report here. I would really like to know if this is the proper process in order to get where we want to get. I understand that Mr. Terziewski is here, ready, willing, and able to answer questions, but I would have liked to have seen a staff report to see a little bit more information on the traffic safety supervisor, what the role of that, what the direction is going to be before we actually approve it. I think there's a little bit putting the cart before the horse. So not to belabor it much longer, Mr. Mayor, I'm going to ask that we refer this back to staff so that we can get some details, and then I can reach out offline to staff and get some of the things that I'm looking for before I can support this. And that is a little bit more detail surrounding the supervisor's position, what they will be doing exactly, what the goal is, how we're going to approach the Attorney General's office, who is going to approach the Attorney General's office, and what is that letter going to say, et cetera, et cetera. There's a bunch of unanswered questions. I don't think this is the time where we want to have that debate. So, Mr. Mayor, I'm going to move a motion to refer this back to staff for 30 days so that the council meeting, if clerk can help me in November, the latest council meeting in November, whenever that is, if staff could bring us back just a high level of exactly how we're going to move this motion forward.
Mr. Mayor, just to clarify, the council meeting, I believe, would be the November 25th council meeting.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Clerk. So yes, I just move that we refer this back to staff just to get a couple of answers to some of the questions that we have.
Okay, motion right there for a seconder, please. Seconder on it. Councilor Barros. Any other comments? All right. What are we doing here? Oh, go ahead, Councilor. I'm just going to determine what we haven't been doing this for so long. A deferral. Requires majority vote. Is it?
It's a referral, Mr. Mayor, not a deferral.
Okay, referral. Okay. There's must indicate. All right, so it's a referral. Sorry, I'm serious. This is the first time I've done this for about a month. Okay. Go ahead. I got a referral here. Got a seconder. Okay, go ahead. Absolutely.
Thank you. So I just want to be clear. I get the need for getting all the information, and I respect that. The one thing I would point out is that both the position that we're talking about that's referenced in this motion, but most importantly, the outcome of this motion primarily is to get the traffic operations study done. That operations study and that staff person to help facilitate that are already in the works. The traffic operations study has been on the books now for quite some time, as I referenced in the motion. And the person that I'm referencing in the motion also is approved in the budget. So I mean, the information that we're getting here is the information that will come out in the traffic operations study itself, with the benefit of having more tools in the toolbox to help us to deal with all this stuff. So, I mean, again, with all respect to needing more information, a staff report about doing an already approved study that we've talked about now for a number of years seems like a bit of an overkill when it comes to getting the more information. So I won't vote in favor of this. I think the need to do this has already been approved. It's just a matter of prioritizing it to get it done. And if that's the will of the rest of council, the majority of council, that's great. If not, you know, we'll go from there.
Okay. All right, we have a motion to refer. All those in favor?
Mr. Mayor, comment, please.
Sure, go ahead. Sorry, I did not see you.
It's Mr. Mayor, there's, and I don't want to go into the detail of this, but Mr. Mayor, let me give an example here quickly before my colleagues vote. It says, now therefore be resolved that council send a letter to the Ministry of the Attorney General. That's problematic, Mr. Mayor. Council does not send letters. Who is council? That's all 9 of us. What letter are we going to send? I mean, that's procedurally not correct, Mr. Mayor. That needs to be changed. These are the things that I want to have addressed by next month, so that we're not doing this right now on the fly, right? What it could read, for example, and staff will bring this back, because I'm sure staff haven't vetted this motion, because council will never send a letter. It might read something to the effect that council directs staff or the clerk or the mayor to send the following letter, and then we know the details of that letter. And that's just one example, Mr. Mayor, and that's why I don't want to do this on the fly right now. It's as urgent as it is. I think it can wait for 30 days till November so that we get it right, because I don't know how this could even be implemented if we voted on it.
Okay, thanks, Mayor. All right. Yes. Referral back again.
If I may respond to that, I would be more than happy to accept that as a friendly amendment on the floor, Mr. Mayor. That does not warrant us going back to staff for a staff report. I mean, again, I respect the reasons why we would go back to staff for a staff report, but that's just a friendly amendment. I mean, we could easily change that.
Do you have other speakers? Councilman?
Yeah, I think so. If the mover is willing to make that amendment to say that, you know, staff send a letter, or the council give a direction to staff that they send a letter to the minister on our request. I think that would be, you know, I think
Order, Mr. Mayor.
I think that'd be a nice step.
Okay, well, it's a question for referral here.
Order, Mr. Mayor.
I'm sorry?
Point of order.
Yes,
We have a referral on the floor.
I know, and everybody's giving their opinion of it.
So why are they talking about a friendly amendment, which doesn't even exist in the procedural bylaw?
That's okay. Thank you.
Through the motion on the floor?
I am trying to move the motion on the floor, yes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. All right, referral motion. All those in favor? Opposed? It carries.
Recorded vote, please, Mr. Mayor. I didn't count 5.
Thank you. Voting through you, Mr. Mayor, voting on the motion to refer this matter back to staff for a further report. Councillor West?
No.
Councillor Silovitz?
No.
Regional Local Councillor DePaula?
Yes.
Councillor Liu?
Yes.
Mayor Barrow,
Yes.
Councillor Barrows,
Yes.
Councillor Chan,
No,
Regional Local Councillor Peretti,
Yes.
and Councillor Munch.
No.
The motion to refer carries.
Okay, we now move to our second member motion, Regional Local Council funding on a road watch mobile app. Sir. Peretti, please, Councilor Peretti.
Yes. Oh, Mr. Mayor, thank you. Sorry.
Me too, yeah.
So, Mr. Mayor, as you know, and most members of council know, I spent some time on the Road Watch Committee. Awesome organization. The amount of dedication that they've shown to the city of Richmond Hill is second to none. I met with this young man, I call him young, I guess, Dean, and he's got this wonderful app that he's working on. And I really believe that when it comes to safety in our communities, we need to help the police do their job. We need to be their eyes and ears. And we know that Road Watch works. The only issue has been over the last little while is that, you know, when you give an organization the tools, we've been talking about tools today a lot, you got to give them the right tools. In this case, it's the tool is money, and we need to give them the right amount of money in order for them to accomplish their goals. You know, I look at it from a scenario perspective, Mr. Mayor. I'm walking my dog down the street, as you've done many times, and we see a traffic violation, either what appears to be a speeder or someone rolling through a stop sign, etc. And now we've got our phone with us. You know, we can't take a picture of a moving car usually that's successful, but maybe we can remember a license plate. The problem is now we got to wait till we get home or try and connect, use our data while we're on the road and so on and so forth. But an app, and I'm technically challenged at best, but an app where it can immediately link you to the York Region YRP's website that can get the information while it's all fresh in your head, get it out there right away, I think will move leaps and bounds towards getting us where we want to go when we want to control the traffic and the safety in our communities. And it's everywhere in the city, Mr. Mayor. And so after having great lengthy debate with Mr. Gossi, it came to me, I thought, well, you know what, this is the time that we got to put our money where our mouth is. And if we're going to support this Road Watch initiatives, let's do it properly. As Mr. Mayor knows, we have a community engagement fund that is at the use of members of council. And I would suggest that we use that fund to give $25,000 to the Road Watch Committee for use to create this app so that it can be used for all of the the residents of Richmond Hill. In the last 24 hours, Mr. Mayor, there have been some questions, and very good questions. Councillor Munches are at the forefront of those questions. He doesn't give me a moment of rest. He's always challenging, and I respect and appreciate that. And some of the questions and concerns, Mr. Mayor, have been, who will own this app? What happens if the app is going to move, going to be used by other jurisdictions? Will they be paying a licensing fee? Who will that licensing fee go to? And so on and so forth. So before we move any further, Mr. Mayor, in light of all of these new questions that I have received, I am going to keep the dialogue going here with the intention of referring this back to staff and back to Mr. Gossi, so that we'll use the rest of this time to ask the questions that we want answered between now and November 25th council meeting, so that those questions are answered before we decide to advance the $25,000. But for now, I'm going to leave it open because I know people are going to give a list of questions they want. And I want to make sure before we move ahead that staff, Mr. Gossi, and members of council's questions are all addressed. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. To second. Put this on the floor. Council Barros. Okay. We've heard the description of Council Chan.
Thank you very much. First of all, thank you, Deputy Mayor Pirelli. As I was about to suggest and actually try to clarify where the $25,000 come from, you can't sort of touch on. That's one of the questions. And I truly appreciate that. I guess we all would agree that public safety, road safety, is a great concern. And that's how I got involved in Road Watch, long before I became a councillor. So the point is well noted. I will be more than happy. I give the honor to Council Barros for seconding that, because that would be an opportunity for the other 30 days. Not so much about the wisdom of having more tools that will be effectively help Road Watch to improve road safety. So I'm in support of the referral to staff, and I'm also in support that at the end, when we committed resources, public resources, to further refine and develop the tool, it will serve its purpose. So thank you. I will in support of the referral. I'll come back on November 25th. Thank you.
Any other comments this time? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Carries unanimously, it looks like. All right, our next is Councillor Castro-Liu.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for letting me put this in on the agenda under time sensitive, because the residents on Bridgewater cannot wait until the next meeting. The chaotic situation has been getting worse day after day. This is similar to the situation around Lake Wilcox Park. The unfortunate part of it is the Ontario Trail Association promoted on their website asking people to park on Bridgewater. Bridgewater is a cul-de-sac. So every day, a nice day like today, hundreds of cars are parking on that street. And because of a dead end, people have to turn around, people park on, the homeowners' driveways, walk away, taking pictures, doing all kinds of stuff. I'm not gonna repeat because I sent out a summary yesterday to all council members and my motion. I'm just gonna keep it short because it's been a long meeting. So hopefully I can get the support from my council colleagues that desperately they need no parking restriction on Bridgewater. And there are other entrances with parking facilities. They don't need to park on Bridgewater. The nuisance has been terrible to the residents. And within 24 hours, I got 90% of petition. The 10% is because two houses were, the owner were out of the country, are out of the country. So I hopefully ask for support, that I have a long conversation, a few meetings with staff. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Tracy, for helping me draft this motion. So this has to be stopped. So that's my motion in front of you, and hopefully I can get a unanimous support on this. Thank you.
Councilor Barros.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and Councilor Liu. I wholeheartedly feel badly for the situation your residents are in. I've been working on similar issue all summer around the Lake Wilcox area, and it continues with people going to the trail And also, I've got a number of people still going to the skateboard and youth park. With Councillor Liu's permission, Mr. Mayor, I'm also adding Dariel and Denarius, which is the street immediately across from the skateboard park. And I should remind all members of council, and I should remind the members of public that are watching, these rules don't restrict local residents from parking on the street. They're given a permit. They are still able to have friends and family over, and they put the permit in their window and they can park there. What we're doing is we're restricting people that are coming to visit an attraction. We're directing them to the appropriate parking lots that are provided. And currently, the challenge we're having is at the Lake Wilcox area, there's no cost for parking. So we're trying to push people into those parking lots because they're creating a lot of, problematic issues, as Councillor Liu has also found in his ward. It's unfortunate that people at times are so ignorant, but they go for their walk, they come back to their car, they take all the garbage they had with them, and they leave it on the side of the road. It's unbelievable when you take a look at some of these streets and what these people leave there. So wholeheartedly support it. Of course, I'm seconding the motion. And with those changes, I've given the street names to the clerk already. And I thank you, Councillor, for your initiative on this. Reminding council, this isn't new. We've done a couple of emergency time-sensitive meetings just to do this. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah. Councillor Burley.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, thank you. I was going to second this motion, and Councillor Barros beat me to it. The question that I had was, does it affect the local residents' ability to park on the street? And Councillor Barros articulated that very well. As long as that's being done, I want to thank Councillor Liu for taking the initiative to bring this forward, and I'm happy to support it and do a little bit of housekeeping to add the 2 roads that Councillor Barros has added. Thank you.
Councillor DePaula. Sorry, I saw your hand up earlier.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just also want to thank Councillor Liu for bringing this forward. It's living in Bayview-Stouffville area, I can encounter it all the time. I really sympathize for his residents on Bridgestone, 2-acre estate subdivision, and there are literally 100 cars on that road on any day that the weather is nice. So the conservation authority has to take responsibility. They have to provide some sort of measures where their trails can be used without upsetting our residents. So I'm fully supportive of what's being proposed here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thanks so much.
Good day. Yeah, the parking up there is a big issue. I walk the trails and I see it as well. And I also see the garbage. I'm up there, I would say, every week. So I would like to thank you guys for putting it together. I do like the fact that we moved the bylaw with regard to local residents. And I do agree that the TRCA has to move forwards on how we're going to accommodate that. Maybe we have to get to a shuttle bus service. I don't know what we're going to do, but I'm glad people like it. I would like to eventually see a Richmond Hill Greater Trail. And I'd like to see, that area really enhanced and protected to allow that work-life balance and allow that we have everything happen. We need to do better there and lead that. We're doing great, but we could do a little better on how we're going to expand those trails. I'd like to really move that. And hopefully with today, we can expand trails up by 404 and Major Mackenzie Way and see how that plays out. So hopefully we can have a link trail and we can have people park and do it responsibly. Local residents happy. I think I'm glad you guys are doing that, both Ward 1 and 2. So thanks for the motion. I'll be supporting it. And thanks.
Thank you. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Unanimous. Our last is Deputy Mayor Paula has also a member motion brought in today, yesterday. Sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I hope the clerk may have had a chance to circulate to you all. We all have been circulated by the town of Whitchurch-Stouffville, their resolution to request the region to provide services to the Gormley area on the east side of 404. So that just came to us yesterday, and the next meeting of regional council, where this is going to be discussed and where the town of Whitchurch Stouffville resolution will be considered by regional council, it will be on November 5th. So I've proposed a motion, and maybe if the clerk can put it on the screen. I've got a motion. Councillor Munch has agreed to second it. I think it's very important for us to also just make simply the same request to the region that Stouffville has made. In the absence of doing so, the services will be brought to Whitchurch Stouffville if that's what the region resolves, and we will be left out. It won't be an opportunity for our residents in the Gormley settlement area. Now, on the Stouffville side, it's the exact same rural settlement designation that we have on our side. It's our rural settlement of Gormley is identical to the Gormley settlement area in Stouffville that is being referred to. So the request is being made to seek exemption by the York region under section 3.2.6.3A of the growth plan, which allows, in the case of health and safety concerns, that services be provided to hamlet areas. And in the case of Whitchurch Stouffville, I had a long talk with their manager of development services, and what happened was they had a fire in their industrial park. Now they said if it weren't for our Richmond Hill Fire Department arriving on the scene and dealing with that fire, there could have been very, very tragic consequences. Now, without having municipal water, they have a fire suppression plan in place that doesn't allow them to adequately deal with fires, and that's the primary reason. We're in the same situation, and all the residents that live in this area, I've had there's only maybe 25 or 30 homes. I've had 6 or 7 of them complain about the water quality in their wells. They're very desirous of having a proper municipal water in this area, and this just logically follows with the region having declared the area for an MTSA that we also request, as has the town of Whitchurch Stouffville, for the region to provide services to the area. So I hope the council colleagues can support this, and the regional representatives from Richmond Hill can go up and make the case then on November 5th with the support of this council. Thank you.
Thank you. And you have a seconder, Councillor Munch is there. Second. Is there anybody else that wish to comment at all at this point in time?
Please.
No. Okay, Councillor Munch is a seconder, and then Councillor West beside him. Go ahead. Councillor
Hi,
Munch.
sorry, I didn't have your amendment. One woman to know that this is a great success story for Richmond Hill. There on September the 20th, there was a fire incident, as the deputy mayor communicated. And if it was not for our Richmond Hill Fire Department bringing in their pumpers in and having that water, it would have been a devastating event, absolutely devastating to a very high degree. And the fact that those water services are needed, and under, as pointed in the motion, 3.2.6.3.A clearly states that we can do that as per the existing policies. And congratulations to Whitchurch Stouffville, Ian Lovett, and the planning staff there to pull this up. And I think we should be supporting this. I think it's great that we're acting together. I think the region, our representatives of the region, are doing a great job. I've been watching the regional meetings and really can't believe how great they're all working. So this is a safety issue. We need to have safety in that area. Richmond Hill is on the other side of the tracks. We need to make sure that we communicate that to the region. And we as a council need to help our regional council colleagues to do their job. So I thank everyone at the region. I said it earlier. I think the mayor and the Joe DiPaolo are doing really absolutely excellent work up there. And this is, I'm really happy to second this. And I think it's public safety has to come number one. So thanks.
Thank you. Councillor West.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have to be honest with you, I'm actually not really sure what this is really all about. I mean, I've heard the comments and I respect that, but this is the first time I've seen this, and I've not heard any information about this whatsoever. Maybe if I could ask a question to Councillor DiPaolo. How is this related to Richmond Hill? Like, it seems like I'm not used to seeing us doing the work of another municipality.
Yeah.
Did I miss something here? I'm not sure.
Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Okay.
I can answer that if you like.
Well, I asked the mover, but I mean, whatever.
Well, I
Go ahead, Deputy.
defer to Councillor Munch if you have a more better answer at the ready.
We received a communication from the clerk that is a copy of what Stouffville has passed. It shows the fire earlier this week. It shows the fire. It has a fulsome report from the Witchville Stouffville, and the Deputy Mayor, Joe DiPaolo, has said, has communicated how our fire department was involved in that fire. And how this relates to what we're doing here is Stouffville is asking for servicing under the Provincial Act under 3.2.6.3 to go to Woodbine and Stouffville Road. We're saying we want servicing up to our area as well. If you're bringing servicing up to Woodbine and Stouffville Road, we would want to make sure that our residents and our people in that area are also serviced. And as was also raised by Mayor DiPaolo, Deputy Mayor DiPaolo, was those residents also have a safety concern. And we also should provide water servicing to our residents wherever possible. And I briefly spoke to the Ward 3 Councillor, Councillor Liu up there as well. I believe that's his ward. So I think this is a public safety issue. I think we need to do this to make sure the region recognize that we want servicing as well, which Stouffville is moving forwards and has sent the notice to the province. We've been given notification of that motion earlier this week. If you want, I can forward that to you once again. But it was sent to all members of council. And I think this is, again, a public safety and a responsible way for us to serve our residents and make sure we're looking after it. Furthermore, that GO station that's been approved by the region and a major area of investment as per the province, this is just this is a smart progression. And given that this is going to York Region before our next council meeting, it's important that we as a council move forwards to say, hey, Richmond Hill is not going to be left behind.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Munch. So I did get that correspondence from Witch of Stouffville. I actually didn't interpret it the way that it's being interpreted, and that's fine. I respect that. Not being a regional councillor, again, I'm being like, I get that you're talking about this being a fire safety issue, and I that's a good point. But I mean, I don't know enough about that. I mean, they have water up there. They just don't have municipal water. And I'm not sure how that impacts fire safety. But in my mind, this isn't just about fire safety. This is about opening up municipal servicing to parts of the Oak Ridges Moraine. I presume both settlement and non-settlement types of areas up there. But I'm also being asked here to make a decision or whatever from the regional point of view. And I don't know at this point in time enough about not being a regional councillor myself, not knowing enough about like how much is this going to cost, who's going to pay for it, how does if it's the region of York that's going to pay for it, how does that fit into their capital plans? I mean, if this was a strictly Richmond Hill point of view, those would be the questions I would be asking of our staff. So if I'm going to be putting my name and endorsement behind something like this, there's some really, really big, expensive questions, I suspect, that I don't have the answer to. I have to be honest, I'm a little bit concerned that this is a way for us to, it's for Witch of Stouffville, and I get that they have needs and they know those needs way better than I do. But I'm also not sure what the tertiary impact would be about us putting those servicing things in at this point in time into an area, like this on our side of the 404. And I'm not asking the question, it's rhetorical, but what I am saying is I'm sorry, but I just don't think I have enough information to be able to make a decision. I do understand and respect the fact that it's time-sensitive matter given the region's needing to deal with this. But the only positive thing that I can see me being able to do at this point and being responsible in my role as a counselor would be to ask for this to be referred to staff for a report on what the implications would be for Richmond Hill if we could do this, and I suppose also for Witch of Stouffville. But I mean, I was elected to be a counselor in Richmond Hill, not Witch of Stouffville. So I would move a motion to refer back to staff, and staff probably can get us a memo or a staff report back as quickly as possible, and then I would be able to make a responsible determination on this. But at this present moment, with what I know or what I've heard from my colleagues, I'm not sure that I'm confident that I would be able to be responsible in the execution of my duties at this moment.
I'll second that.
Well, I'll try to put my thoughts into this. What's happening is the town of Stouffville is regarding municipal services in their Gormley area. They're asking us that council requests the York Region initiate a process to extend full municipal services into the Gormley settlement area of Richmond Hill. So they're bringing water to the edge, and at this point in time, we're saying to the region, bring it all the way in. There's people living here who do not have the water.
And I understand all of that. That's not the part I don't
That's
understand.
what we're doing is saying at that point in time, we're going to ask them to bring it forward. So
That's not the part I don't understand, Mr. Mayor, but thank you for reiterating what I do understand. But the other parts that I had mentioned, I don't have an answer to that. So that's why I'm asking for it to be referred for a staff report.
And Mr. Mayor, the
done.
Witch of Stouffville staff report, it really is really extensive, and that was circulated along with the resolution. The staff report really explains it all. And Councillor West, I would love there to be more time, but short of convening an emergency council meeting, we could not consider a report in time to give direction to Councillor Pirelli and the mayor and I to vote on this.
I respect that, Councillor DiPaolo. And just to be clear, I did not read the staff report part of that attachment. It's one of many, many emails that I would get in a day. It wasn't directly related to Richmond Hill, so I have not gone through it. I will admit that. But I still don't think that staff report would be giving me the information that I would need from a Richmond Hill perspective. That's what we have our professional planning staff. So, and by the way, I appreciate the difficulty that this puts you in. But unfortunately, I have to make responsible decisions is the best that I can, and that's the best I can do under this circumstance.
Okay. I've got, so are you seconding, Councillor Silvitz, did you say?
Yes, I'll definitely
Fair enough,
second.
then I'll bring it
I agree. I also have a question for Deputy Mayor DiPaolo.
Okay, go ahead. Just a second.
You're referring to some information that was sent to us by email? When? What information?
I'll forward it to you now.
Because I have nothing.
One answer, please.
Okay, no, I appreciate that.
Okay, we're trying to get the answer for you, Mr. Clerk.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My office did circulate the resolution on Monday of this week to members of council.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I definitely didn't see it. I will check for it, but my apologies on my end. I did not see that at all. But I'll go through my emails and see if it is there. I
resent it to you just now.
Thank you, Councillor Munch. I appreciate that. My concern here is the same as Councillor West. I'm not going to repeat them. I believe that we who are us members of council, who are the local council, who are not regional councillors, do not quite get the the nuances and the specifics here. about what is being asked for. I'm not against it, but I would also like to know what the capital costs are, because I mean, after all, those are the residents of Richmond Hill's costs as well. The region gets 50% approximately of all taxes collected by Richmond Hill residents. So I would like a little bit more information here. That's why I'm supporting it. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Paula, did you? So what's the timing?
Just to respond to that, I mean, this is a request to initiate a process by the region, and then all we'd be doing is starting the budget discussion. It still has to go to the budget at the region. The design is the first stage, and so on and so forth, and we'll be represented, and we'll keep members informed here.
Yeah. I don't see there's an issue that's going to cause us any funding this is going to arrive in our doorstep. It'll be a regional matter. Yes, Councilor. Deputy Mayor Pirelli.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. I just want to reiterate what Deputy Mayor DePaula and you have said. This is about initiating a process. We're now asking our council colleagues in Richmond Hill to send us with a clear mandate that we're all on the same page in doing this. This is an inclusivity exercise, and we're getting the members of Richmond Hill City Council to support the 3 members of us that sit on regional council with this initiative. That's all it is, an exercise that shows that we're all in this together. I don't believe that it's actually necessary. We're fully capable of introducing this motion as individuals, or just us 3. You know, I just want to compliment Councilor DePaula, Deputy Mayor DePaula, for actually wanting to include the City Council in Richmond Hill. But if the City Council in Richmond Hill doesn't want to, we're happy to go ahead and take the lead on it without your comments or concerns. Those are my comments, Mr. Mayor. This is to start a process. The report is there. There's no need to delay this anymore. We're going to move ahead regardless. So I will not support a referral. Thank you.
Okay. We have a mover, we have a seconder to move forward. All those in favor? Opposed? What are we doing going forward on this?
That's the motion to refer.
Defer, yes. Okay. So that was lost.
Motion to refer was lost. Back to the main motion.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Thank you. Opposed? All right, that carries. All right. So now, Mr. Clerk, I think we are down to
the bylaws.
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Approval of the bylaws. Have a move and a second of bylaws at 16.1. Councilor, I'm sorry, whose hand is it? Councilor Liu. And a second of Councilor Chan. All those in favor? Opposed? That carries. Thank you. Confirmatory bylaw 13220 to confirm proceedings. Mover, seconder, hands. Councilor Liu, Councilor DePaula. All those in favor? Opposed? Carry. Mover and seconder to adjourn. Hands up. Adjourn.